Hello, everybody! That's my epic welcome. You're welcome. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Eric's TBD RPG, the show that I didn't get a chance to name. We are playing Doctor Who again today. Imagine that, because we're continuing our long story that has been developing over the past few months. Yeah, so welcome back. Let's go ahead and just kick into the highs to the cast, my players, before we jump into like recap. So players.
We're the players.
Sup. Welcome back, Whovians and RPG lovers.
Neither us nor the game.
Yes, indeed. Oh my gosh, we made it to Friday. Thank you. This was a very long week this week. Yes. All right. So let's go ahead and get a few of the announcements out of the way. So right off the bat, we can talk about WonderCon, which is coming up this coming weekend in Anaheim, California.
So soon.
Yeah, it's amazing how fast that got here. And I guarantee you 25 minutes from now will be Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I think. And none of us will have a hotel. We'll all be crashing on floors.
Yep.
Yup.
Don't miss it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you don't miss it. Yeah. So yeah, and we have panels. We have panels at Comic-Con.
Indeed we do.
So I'm on a panel with both Amy and Jody, I believe. So we're on a GNS Live panel on Saturday.
We're on a combo panel with some of the members from VAST that will
Right.
be about sort of space RPGs and a general
Space
discussion where we
RPGs.
will try to represent for this game. And,
Yeah.
and then I believe you're on the Geek and Sundry Live panel right afterwards.
Yep, we're gonna do a Geek and Sundry Live panel. And I turned out you were right, by the way. It looks like we're not during Critical Role. It looks like we're on a block. There's gonna be a big block of Geek and Sundry panels taking place on Saturday, and Critical Role they're not near
Informal
us,
Geek and Sundry
unfortunately.
Parade is just going to be from the one panel to the other to the hopefully back of the room where we can
Yeah.
all sneak into Critical Role.
Essentially, yeah, I was gonna say. Essentially, my panel ends. I'm gonna be rushing over because I don't remember exactly where it is. Marisha told me that their panel was in an auditorium
It's
or
the arena.
something. It's the arena.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
We're gonna fill it, y'all.
Yeah, because it turns out critters. It turns out there's a lot of you. Is it? Like
Us.
there's us.
Yeah,
A lot of us.
Turns out there's a lot.
And sadly, I'm
I don't know what you're talking about. I ain't no critter. I'm just I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Louder for the people in the back, Jody.
Yeah, I have a signing, so I won't be able to make the
Oh, we should just run by
She's
your
saying
table
'cause
for the
she's
signing.
sad.
Just like sign this,
But
Jody.
Jody Houser, of course, is the author of Faith and a bunch of other wonderful comics. Is it a Mother Panic signing, a Faith
It's
signing?
another Panic signing. So I think that's actually my first ever signing for DC.
No
so that's
kidding.
super cool.
You're doing your first signing for DC?
Yes.
That's awesome. Congratulations. That's going to be wicked cool. So I will come bug you at the table and ask you a bunch of questions. I'll just be like, hi, so I have some questions about Faith. When she was attacking Buffy, oh wait. Oh, no, sorry. Wah, and then you can
No,
slap me.
I like that faith too. All faith is super good.
All faiths are good. We
we live in a
appreciate
country
faiths.
with freedom of faith. Right?
Freedom of faith. So do we have any other announcements we want to make? Of course, International Tabletop Day is coming up. Sam, you have an announcement?
Yes. As always, I announce that I am excited about this game, but also I am guest editing for the special issue Crips in Space for the Deaf Poet Society. It is a literary magazine. I'm super hyped about it, and if you want to get hyped, you can watch my pep video on the importance and awesomeness of Crips in Space by going to my pinned tweet on my Twitter, which is @Tchaikovsky, and I talk about the inspiration for the issue and why it's important. The deadline for submissions for essays, art, poetry, fiction, and nonfiction stories is going to be April 4th. So,
That's
check it out.
awesome. Yay. And let's just to clarify for anybody who's asking, Crips in Space does not stand for the gang in New York. It is actually...
One,
Hey,
the gang in
no,
LA.
that's an important... No,
LA.
don't give me flack for
Yeah,
that.
that's
That's an
an LA
important
gang,
distinction to
man.
make. That is a very important distinction to make.
They got that from us.
I was going to say.
It was because they used canes.
I had no idea that was the thing.
And so that's why they were then called the Crips.
No kidding.
Wow.
Sam facts.
Sam facts.
Wow.
Even I didn't know that.
I'm from here, so.
No, I'm into that stuff, man.
Yeah, I know.
into-
You've
you're
always been
into
really
it.
interested
You're
in
into
that, in the
Black
street lore
culture.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool. So are we done making me embarrassed? Can we start the? We're good. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get into the recap of last week's game. For those of you who are just joining us for the very first time, I'm sorry. It's just too much. It's Doctor Who. However, I will give you a recap of the last game. having been swallowed by a space whale the size of a freaking planet.
Star whale, as people
a
have
s-
pointed out. We
a
keep
s-
saying space whale.
Yes,
Say it
we say
again.
space whale. In Doctor Who, it is actually called star whales, I believe, is the official name.
Maybe there's space whales in this universe.
Maybe you
Yeah.
call them space whales because it sounds awesome.
Every time I think of a space whale, I cannot shake it from my head. I continuously think of the airship in Final Fantasy II on Super Nintendo that you get towards the end of the game and it takes you to the moon. It's like mind-blowingly awesome. Anyway, so let's scroll the ADD back a little bit here. Yes. So you guys are sucked into the whale. The party got split up. The Doctor was not included in that because one River Song decided to swoop in and kidnap, or not kidnap, but abduct rather. No, it's not. I've learned recently it's not the same thing. No.
Eric facts.
Abduct is when you take an adult by
Okay.
yes. It seems rather obvious, but for years I've been calling it kidnapped.
Well, the Doctor has such a childlike curiosity.
It
I think
factors in.
both will-
Yeah,
both
I
will.
think I might agree with that.
900 and what?
So the Doctor being swept away, along with the Corsair, which was one of our reveals from last episode, Jodie Hauser playing the Corsair, a Time Lord and old friend of the Doctor from multiple universes.
Drinking.
Yep. I'll never
Bit
do
of, a
that again.
bit of a disagreement with River. You discovered that River is a little different in this universe. She still has that sort of sassy, loving aspect to her, but not to put too fine a point on it, she's changed. She's seen some shit. Not only that, but she has made some pretty out of character decisions, and her behavior has been out of character for her. And it's been kind of odd because something about River tells you that the woman you've always known, no matter what universe you're in, it's still there. But whoever she is just kind of playing against who she is inside. And it's been heartbreaking. And it also led to River getting a nice upper right cross across her chin
Which
by
I
the
spent
course.
the story point to do. And
Yes,
it's totally
you-
worth it.
Never
You
with their
decked
batteries.
River Song across the face, which I know some very impassioned Whovians were probably like, yes! And the other half were like, what the hell?
I usually like her, but not when she's being
Yes,
a jerk.
Roko had a very impassioned conversation with her. It did not go so well. River has essentially likened a lot of the people that she deals with to chess pieces on the board in a game against the Time Lords. This has not won her too many fans. While this was happening, though, of course, before all of this took place, the encounter with River, Roko and Cillian had to discover where the other half of the party was. You guys crashed inside the space whale after being swallowed and discovered that Finn is missing, Meatstick is missing, the other two poachers are missing. Zeeps is still with you guys. Zeeps was like crammed into a corner and unconscious. You discovered that half the ship has been sheared off and there's no sign of the other half. It could be in the whale. It may have gotten chomped on the way into the whale. No one really knows. But the other side of the ship was not available at that time. It was out to lunch. Journeying deeper into this whale, you discovered there's an entire civilization that has grown up inside of this ancient being. Apparently, there's a city called Cosm, which you discovered after being directed to when you came across a bar, a biker bar, no less, with like speeder bikes and everything out front, Star Wars style, just sitting out in the middle of this whale. There's an entire landscape. You've discovered that a huge culture has actually grown inside of this whale. And there's a civilization that's managed to survive. There's a city called Cosm that is built off the wreckage of all the ships that have crashed inside this magnificently huge, unfathomably large beast. Don't say massive, Jodie. I know you're going to make fun of me.
That's a good word.
It's
You're
a
not
good
the
word.
first one in that episode to say that word.
I had a lot of medicine
for you.
going through my veins that day.
Would you say a massive amount of
A
medicine?
massive
Oh.
amount. Damn it. Flipping this table. So you've discovered that the TARDIS, which you had to navigate inside, Doctor, when you were trying to get down and rescue your friends who were stuck inside, against River's wishes. But River knew better to fight you on that.
Plus, we convinced her that, or pointed out that Cillian may be of
Yes.
vital cosmic importance.
Exactly. She discovered for the very first time that Cillian, like you, is from the other
Oh,
reality
yep.
and therefore has the potential to close these rips in space-time that you're trying to close to save the universe. The last bit of big reveal when you all reunited is you learned a lot of information about what's going down, and a lot of contradictory information from River as well. For example, you learned that River was there when the doctor died, and that River was cradling him in her arms when he died. You've also learned that the Council of Gallifrey appears to be the big bad. In Buffy speak, they are the big bad. Whoever the Lord President is or was banished or driven away or fled, you don't know. But it's the War Council of Gallifrey apparently are the ones behind the paradox epidemic that's taking place that's slowly killing the universe. And possibly the ones behind the TGs, the Temporal Guard, who have been jumping all across the universes and enforcing their will, who you have all encountered and battled. Jodie in particular, who have the Corsair, not having too much of a good time with them. Jodie also learned in the last one that River was fully aware that you had been captured and were being horrifically tortured
She said
to
she
death,
was watching.
only to be regenerated after your organs were harvested, and then tortured to death again after regenerating to have your organs harvested yet again. You went through, I think, 2 regenerations. Three regenerations while you were being tortured by the Temporal Guard. Behavior that Time Lords, not even you, Amy, I mean, the barbarism displayed by the Time Lords of Gallifrey right now is unfathomable. You didn't even know. I mean, maybe in the early days of Gallifrey, millions and millions and millions of years ago, but anyway, it's horrible. It's bad. It's massively bad. Ooh, yeah. So let's go ahead and start off. When we last left off, you guys were walking towards the city of Cosm. You had just stepped out of the TARDIS. You had just reunited with Roko and Cillian, who informed you all they didn't know where Meatstick was, where Velig was, the Centauran. They didn't know where anybody else was. They are apparently the only 3, along with Zeeps. They are the only 3 that are here from the crash. No, and after scanning, you haven't been able to detect them either. So it's a mystery right now what happened to the other half of your crew. There's nothing to say that they're dead, though. And, better yet, you still remember them. So Paradox has not swallowed them and erased them from existence. So that's good. That's good news. Glass half full.
We're trying to see it that way, but
Yes. So we begin this game off as you are all walking down. Again, the interior of this whale, it looks like the landscape that has formed inside this creature, which, again, I have to stress, it's the size of a planet. So you're basically in the interior. If you can imagine the size of that, of the planet, there's the horizon is so distant from left to right and top to bottom. You really can't see it. Plus, the lighting in here, you're not entirely sure where they're getting their power supplies. You have come across bioluminescence, so that's entirely possible in like the rock face. But a lot of the rocks here, much like rock formations billions of years ago in Earth's past, with meteors colliding and creating mountain ranges, a lot of this looks like over the courses of what you must assume is billions of years, probably swallowing asteroids and planetary debris, has actually created a landscape, because there is gravity inside of this creature from its sheer size. And the last major part of the recap, you've discovered that you can't get the TARDIS out of here. For whatever reason, it's locked in place. And River cautioned against that, because apparently anybody who's ever gone inside this star whale has never returned. So, if that's a recent phenomenon, nobody really knows. The other thing is you also learned, I'm remembering all of this stuff, because this is why I said there's so much, that this star whale is apparently the progenitor of the entire species, which explains its size. You guys learned that kind of in passing from the barkeep, I believe, brought that up, or somebody brought that up. I don't remember. Yeah, whatever. I'll go watch the VODs. I don't watch this show. Anyway, yeah, Sam does. Sam goes right home and opens it up and relives the whole thing. Sam is our encyclopedia here. So, to give you an idea, right? So to give you an idea of the landscape, yes. So a lot of the rocks and formations here, Dr. the Sonic, if you've done any syncanning, the landscape here is like the rock formations that have cropped up around you guys it's from all over the place. There's no consistency in the mineral deposits of this place.
Okay.
You've even come across a few minerals in your scan that would probably be worth unfathomable amounts of wealth on other worlds, but are just kind of no one cares. Here they mean nothing. So rock faces, porous-like formations because of the asteroids and whatnot. A lot of like deep space rocks that have just kind of compacted and swollen and been driven into like the Earth to the point where we have a full-on horizon and landscape. The city of Cosm before you, if you remember correctly, there was a welcome sign with a population crossed out because it looks like they kept changing it all the time. Cosm, as I described it before, is a city that probably, just on the first glance, probably looks like maybe somewhere between 4,000 to 6,000 people probably live here.
Okay.
The city itself even has a wall structure built up around it. It looks like it doesn't look like a fortified structure. It just looks like it's a containment, sort of like, it looks like giant steel plates from ships have kind of like erected around the city itself, probably to control the comings and goings of who enter and leave the city. But you do notice that the central area, there is no gate. There's nothing to close or open the city. The city itself, as I described before, is essentially, from the looks of it, is ships from eras stretching back thousands of years that have been erected into buildings. It looks like a lot of them have like wires and these giant metal pillars that are like supporting them up. Everything looks pretty sturdy and pretty solid, as I imagine they would have to be on the inside of this whale, but it's actually quite clever and very impressive. It looks like they've used the unusual gravity of this place to their advantage. And so you're seeing buildings that probably stand close to 14 stories tall that are ships that have just literally been pulled up on their end and have had windows welded in the hulls. So you're seeing like apartment buildings, like living complexes that are old ships that have just been turned over. You're seeing cargo containers that have been brilliantly erected into like living areas. As you get closer and closer to this city, you're actually noticing fauna. It looks like oxygen and the air is becoming less and less thin as you're approaching the city. You're also seeing power generators all over the place. This place is a fully functioning living society, and just from first glance, Doctor and Corsair, you can tell that this place has successfully existed for a long time. As you enter the main area, no one really seems to really think twice about newcomers walking through the door. You see species from all over the place. You see a few humans. You see a few hammer-headed looking creatures. You see aliens that the Doctor you've encountered a few times, but you're like, oh, that was during my second regeneration. I don't remember. Yeah, you're seeing all sorts of like an amalgamy, and everyone looks. Your immediate impulse is y'all are walking into the main area, like the central, like the path that's leading into the city. If it wasn't so dark and the buildings weren't made out of pure metal and Durasteel and all these other things, and if it didn't look so industrial Fallout-ish, you would say this looks like a quaint little city. The people walking the streets here, you occasionally will see one say hello to the other as they're walking by. This does not look like, you might have been anticipating a scum of hive and villainy. It looks like this is just this looks like a community of about 4,000 to 6,000 people walking the street. And curiously enough, and almost amusingly, is a massive visitor center that has been built in the front area. It looks like someone has taken a massive booster rocket, shut up Jody, and has, I didn't even say anything, and it looks like an engine to a large capital scale ship, and has just been put up on end, and the words visitor center and neon lights out front. It says, welcome to Cosm, and it's just like sparking and blinking. Big area, it looks like it's been crudely cut out of the steel, but like a walk-in area. And you see what looks like fauna outside, almost like a small flower garden kind of going around this front of this visitor center to make it look pleasant. as you all approach.
This is incredible. Look at what they built in the middle. We're in the center of a whale.
They seem remarkably happy for having been eaten.
Look what they've accomplished here. Shall we?
Let's.
Why not? It kind of looks like. Oh, you haven't played Fallout, have you, Doctor?
No, what's that?
Never
game?
mind. It is. It's a great one, but probably for another time.
Does it involve nuclear waste?
Yes.
Curiously enough, it does.
Actually, yes, it does.
I love that. I love
fun.
that the existence of Bethesda and Fallout are now canon in our Doctor Who game.
Yep.
Well done.
You're like,
Why
that was-
wouldn't they be?
That was the biggest resistance to getting in the TARDIS. You're like, I do want to see dinosaurs, but damn, I mean, not that you had a choice. You were kind of sucked into this reality,
Yeah.
but you were.
But this is, I mean, this is supposed to be taking place in the modern world,
Those
right?
hobbies are wonderful.
And Cillian,
yeah.
Cillian, you're finally getting to see what you expected to see, jumping galaxies. You're finally seeing aliens that you've only, like, you're like, oh man, the people that designed Star Wars were kind of close. Yeah, they did pretty good. There's that's more Men in Black, but like these guys, like you're kind of like, it's not that far from how you imagine. There's a few you're like, how are they walking on their hands like that? But you realize not their hands. It's kind of it's curious and definitely kind of a mind-blowing experience for a human.
Well, I mean, it would be, but I've already met Bargol and Velig and all of these
And
other-
Davros.
and Davros and
Meat
Rokokokoko
Who-
and Meat Stick.
Yes. Oh yes. No, this is a garden of joy for you.
Yeah.
This is if you took cultures from all over the universe and threw them into one area, you're seeing species that in your lifetime you would never have traveled far enough to visit.
Oh yes, the publications I can get from this are tremendous.
Yes.
But Cillian, I rather wonder if perhaps the latter half of our ship weren't reclaimed. All of this is from ships.
I hadn't thought about that.
I actually would like to take a bit of a look around to see if
there's
this whole
anything
place
new.
is walled, where new ships would come through, so you could build things like whether it looks like there's a bit of a loading dock or something. Like, how are they doing this
bad idea.
while having a wall?
Go ahead and just from where you're standing, go ahead and make your awareness presence check, or is it resolved? We decided it was resolved, I believe. Yeah, resolve. Awareness resolved.
19.
19. Yes. Oh, that's easy to spot. There are. It looks like they're kind of smattered throughout the city, but there are construction areas, big beams that look these massive cranes that have been constructed, probably from cargo ships that have just been reused to build things. Judging from the look of them and the state that they're in, it doesn't look like they've been used in a long time.
Curious.
Like for example, they don't have the wires and the hooks and stuff like that they use to sort of lift the heavy beams and whatnot. None of those are actually attached to them currently, which is usually a telltale sign that it's not in use.
Right. I suppose that
Doesn't
be indicative
necessarily-
that the Star Whale's been going through deep space, hasn't been interacting with other ships. Or something
Yeah,
of that
but
nature.
it doesn't necessarily mean. It could mean that if the other half of the ship is here, it just could mean that it hasn't gotten around. I mean, if this is pretty recent, your arrival, so it means that it's possible that they just haven't started yet.
It is interesting. We haven't encountered anything that suggests the actual digestive process of the star whale yet. We seem to be relatively safe. Fascinating.
So many questions. The visitor center might have answers, shall
Yes.
we?
At that point, Zeeps, the other human here, leans over to Cillian and goes, "This is amazing. I'm just as amazing. Like I thought we were dead. I didn't think we were going to, be a visitor center. Just
So you've never seen anything like this either in all your
No.
travels?
no."
No?
And then all of a sudden, you see this look pass over Zeep's face. This he gets pale for a second, and he goes, "Oh my God! They were going to kill this whale.
And everybody in here.
What we would have killed? We would have killed a planet-sized creature, and everyone inside."
And who knows if there are other cities in here?
Yeah. What if there's countries? What if there's like an entire? Did you ever read Red Space Dawn?
Red Space?
Yeah,
Dawn?
it's a really famous book about
I-
betrayal and
I didn't
intrigue.
know.
And, oh, never mind. You wouldn't get it then.
Try me.
At that, Zeeps, as you guys are walking towards the visitor center, he immediately launches into this tale, this science fiction novel that's in like 4 parts. And about 3 minutes into it, you're like, this is Game of Thrones.
Zeeps is a nerd. It's delightful.
And he just keeps going and going and going. You're like, yeah, okay, so in like 900 years, they're going to rewrite Game of Thrones in space.
Ask him how it ends.
Oh my god. I was going to say, that's when it occurs to you. Oh my god. We have to go back to Earth.
It's a future episode. We
Holy
George R. R. Martin
crap.
end his books.
It's an alternate universe. Who knows?
You're like, holy crap. If I went back right now, I could watch Infinity War if I wanted to. Parts 1 and 2. It's out now.
Oh, holy crap. All of this stuff exists already
Yeah.
in a finished form somewhere that
You-
I could find.
Oh, so just
Before
imagine.
I go back.
You could get every Star Wars movie ever made and go back to Earth.
Yep.
You can go back
Sorry.
and watch them being made. Copyright, Donna Noble.
Oh, there's so many rules we could break.
Yeah.
I love that we have access to a time machine, and the first thing we're thinking is all the stuff that we're not patient for at Comic-Con.
We might be nerds.
We might be
As
nerds.
little as I would like to invoke River Song, spoilers.
Yeah.
Actually,
Shall we?
You could also go back
Doctor,
and stop
speaking
Lucas from
of,
making episode 1. Sorry. Continue. Nothing. Continue.
Speaking of betrayal, I have a implant in my head. That's how River was able to talk to me.
Remind me real quick, River's with you guys, isn't she?
No, she stayed in
She's back in the TARDIS? Okay.
Do you think you could perhaps reroute it to your Sonic in case we get separated? I'd rather be talking to you than her
Sure.
anyway.
Were you in communication with her the whole time?
On and off.
I do wish you'd been a little more forthcoming with your information. We could have prevented some of this, but of course, where did the implant come from?
The other you, actually.
Oh,
Designed it so it would remain in place even through regeneration.
I was going to say somebody seemed like a jerk, but I guess I won't. Let's just take that back. He was an all right sport. Let's take a look at that, shall we?
I don't know where in my head it is, but
You're gonna Sonic that?
It's probably in the
Oh,
back, right?
you know what? That's what we keep forgetting. We keep forgetting the Sonic.
oh,
We keep
I
forgetting.
thought it was being fixed right now.
No, it's back at my desk. It's in a drawer in my desk. So it's like 60 feet away or 100 feet away. I'm terrible with distance. This is why I need a battle map.
hey, people
All right.
off stage.
Sorry, guys. I know. Glitter Lord, fetch me my. No, don't. Ryan, don't. You're fine. Wherever he is.
Ryan's not listening. It's fine.
Okay, so you're gonna scan for this implant in Corsair's head. So
Yes.
this will be, of course, this is gonna be an Ingenuity tech roll.
All
Oh
right.
dear.
20.
Yes, you spot it. Yeah, sure enough, there it is. Time Lord Tech. And you're scanning that. Yeah, this would be easy to actually repurpose with just sonic frequency. In fact, this is probably the most invasive way to reprogram this thing so you could communicate.
So you'd like to keep it? Well, we'll just redirect it to the Sonic then.
Yes.
All right.
I'd rather her not be watching whatever happens.
She can see through it.
Apparently, I didn't know that.
Is that how she knew what was going on? What was being done to you?
Yep.
Well, that's
She watched you die over and over again.
That's what she said.
She's a bit different from the
Wow.
River I knew.
No
Yeah.
wonder she's the way she is. But then again,
was
it
that way
happened
long
to you,
before.
and you're not like that, so never mind.
Did y'all need something? And at that point, you look up from scanning her head to see a man that looks like he's half machine. Like, and I mean, and not pretty half machine either. Like, I'm talking like T-800 sort of skeletal. Half of his body is like completely cybernetic. He's leaning against the doorway to the visitor center. It looks like he's got a lollipop in his mouth, and he's just kind of like working it around and looking at all y'all. You look new, and you're standing outside. Did y'all need something?
Yes, hello, how kind of you. I'm the Doctor. This is Corsair, this is Cillian, this is Rococococo, this is Zeeps. And we are new. Please tell us about your amazing city.
Oh, yeah, all right.
And also, is there anyone else new?
Sorry?
Are there any other newcomers?
No one's passed through the visitor center.
Oh.
Any other place they might pass through?
Nope.
Any other cities in here?
There's a few, but they're so far from here that, well, unless you have a particular love affair with death, I doubt you're going to make it.
Death.
Oh, yeah. No, don't get me wrong. You're a newcomer, so I'll tell you now. There's parts of this whale that are not too hospitable.
Oh, that's to be expected.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Is that why the walls are up?
Oh, well, actually, the walls are up because an ordinance was passed a few years back that the city's no longer allowed to grow. So we've capped the amount of buildings that we're erecting.
So what happens to newcomers?
Well, they're allowed to live here, but we're not allowed to salvage any more ships. Let's just say that if you get too big, the whale's immune system starts to take notice.
Oh.
Yeah. We're fine now. Everything's fine.
Oh, you're the nearest salvage
Famous
point.
last words.
So,
Of the cities?
well, for the most part, yeah. I mean, we're the first city people encounter, so we're the biggest.
So then where does salvage go these days?
Why don't y'all come inside and I'll answer all these questions so we're not just
Absolutely.
standing in the street here. And he turns on, you hear a scraping noise as he turns on that cybernetic heel and walks back into the visitor center.
Oh, did the doctor actually reprogram?
Yes,
our
it was
okay.
literally just a wave of the wand. The doctor said, "Psst," and then you felt a slight wave of dizziness and bleep.
Good.
That's all done then.
As y'all step, you guys walk up this rusted metal grate into the visitor center, which has a
rusted metal,
TV
Batman.
playing saying, "Welcome to Cosm," and then it just has like, it just has that on repeat, and it kind of goes to static. Welcome to Cosm, and he like smacks it a little bit so it stops playing it over and over, and then immediately goes back into repeat. And he walks behind a counter where you see brochures and pamphlets of like, "Welcome to your new life in Cosm." And
Take one and start looking at it.
you open it up. It's kind of soggy, as you're like, what the hell? He's kind of pull it apart, and he's like, oh yeah, no, sorry about that. Inevitably, there's moisture in here sometimes.
Quite sad.
Yeah, here, take this one. He hands you a dry one as he takes a seat behind this big metal chair that looks like it should in no way support his weight. And it just kind of leans back, and you see 3 more legs just shoot out from the bottom of this chair as he leans back and says, all right, so welcome to Cosm. Before any other questions are asked, I've got to go through some of the rules. City's been here for about 2,000 years, but no one remembers because our archive is relatively new in the past 400 years. We are considered friends of Leviathan, so we do very little to upset him or her. And
Leviathan being the whale.
the whale, yes, the progenitor, yes.
It's a good name.
Yeah, I thought it was a little unoriginal when I first heard it, but whatever. So let me give you the
Your
rules.
culture does get around, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
The rules are this. There's no killing allowed. No harming Leviathan in any way. I know that's a bit vague, but you'll probably know when you're about to do it. Salvage claims are first come, first serve. So if you're going to grab something, if you were there first, then that's yours. This is probably our most problematic rule, but no one seems to be wanting to change it anytime soon. Because thankfully, our next rule kind of helps us with possible disputes. Disputes are going to be settled by the assembly, which is kind of like our elected government here. Nice people. Psychic activity is strictly prohibited on pain of death. So just giving you all a heads up at that. Thankfully, we don't get too many psychics around here. Criminals are sent to the Grumble Pit.
The what?
The best way to describe it, let me put it this way. Criminals are digested.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah. It's probably the darkest part of this rule set here. As I'm looking at it now, I realize every time I say it out loud, it just sounds awful. But the good news is not a lot of people go to the Grumble Pit, so you don't have to worry about that. Once there's an execution, everyone sort of realizes, oh, maybe I shouldn't break these laws, especially because they broadcast it. It's really kind of brutal. But the good news is even though it's incredibly horrific and inhumane, as they say, truth of the matter is it's worked. I mean, for the most part, crime in this city is very low. I mean, there's one crime boss, but he actually obeys the rules for the most part too.
Crime boss.
Yeah, not really going to talk about him, but let's just say he's got his own thing going and he doesn't interfere. And
So does that mean that crime is sort of allowed as long as you stay within the other rules?
Yeah, for the most part. See, we kind of realized a long time ago that if you allow a little bit of crime, then that'll stop the spread of all crime. That doesn't make a lot of sense, I know, but you give some people leeway. If you don't clamp down too hard, you don't get underground movements and such. And make sure that certain people have power with policy and whatnot. It's not a perfect system, but what are you going to do? We're basically a refugee camp that grew into a city, so you make do with what you can.
No psychics rule is odd. That doesn't seem to fit with the others. What's
Yeah,
that
that's
about?
one of the oldest rules. I don't know. I really don't know where that comes from, but we obey it.
So who's in charge here?
The assembly. Yeah.
How is the assembly chosen?
Oh, usually it's like an election that we have every 3 years.
Seems fair.
Yeah, it's a pretty polite process, and it's pretty open.
You've got building, you've got advanced technology, you've got broadcasting capability. Can you talk to the other cities?
We could.
What's that?
Well, we chose to be civilized.
No, they didn't.
Some of them didn't.
Does
So-
everyone who arrives land... You said you're the first city people come to. Does everyone come in the same way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, everyone comes the same way. You don't want to stay out too long from the city.
Yeah, it's not true.
Why?
Is it?
Well, because most people encounter the wolf worms, and that usually freaks them out.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
allowed.
they're not very nice.
They don't predate on living creatures, but they're still dangerous.
Oh, they don't? What happened?
You know, the microbiome of the whale got a touch aggressive, but they found other sources of nutrition that weren't alive, and all was well.
Oh, they go after your foodstuffs?
Yes.
Happened to me when I first got here. Devoured everything. But I figured let them have it. You know what I'm saying? It's them or you know what I mean? And
so.
when there's nothing more terrifying than watching your arm get digested right in front of you.
Oh, so sorry.
Yeah, they
Oh,
are.
sorry, no, that didn't happen to me. That was my wife.
I'm so sorry.
Still sorry?
Okay.
Right. We actually had some other people we're very concerned about.
Sure.
The ship was apparently broken in half, you said?
Oh, that happens. Yeah.
Where might the other half be?
Might be floating in space. I really don't know. Do you guys have a ship you want salvaged? Salvage teams will eventually claim it, so you know.
Yes, we certainly don't have the capacity to salvage it ourselves, but we also don't have any particular claim to it more than, well, if there's Zeeps, rather has
Zeeps
the
is
most
like-
claim at the moment.
Well, we're leaving, right? We're not staying. And at that point, he laughs and goes, ha ha. Oh, kiddo, listen. I'm not trying to set you on a path here, but there's only one person that knows how to get out of this whale, and you're not talking to him anytime soon.
Who would
Do-
that
do
be?
tell.
Yeah, I knew I shouldn't have said that. It always seems to happen. Look, there's a crazy old man that lives just outside the city.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
He's different.
How
We
did-
get
I love those too.
we give him a wide berth.
Has he hurt anyone?
Well, no one good, but look, we get all types because we're inside a bloody whale, right? So
Right.
what happens is people get swallowed, and some of those people are bad people too, and inevitably they find out that there's possibly someone here who can get them out. So they decide to strong arm him into finding out how they can get out of the whale, and then we never hear from them again.
What's his name?
We have no idea.
What's your name? We're being very rude.
Oh, I didn't. Most people don't ask my name. My name's Mlurple.
Mlurple?
Mlurple.
Pleasure to meet you, Mlurple. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for all of this.
Or Junior, if you want to call me that. They named me after Dad.
Aw.
Lovely.
Yeah, I know.
So this gentleman whose name you don't know, how do you know that he knows how to get out of the whale? didn't
I
know
gotta be
anyone
honest
ever
with you.
had.
It's all hearsay. No one knows him well enough. He's just an eccentric old man. He appeared one day, he's disappeared again, and then returned. We're assuming he knows to get in and out of the whale. The only contact we have from him is occasionally he sends us mail through our rather inefficient mail system.
You've got
You
a
see?
post? That's wonderful.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are some cities out there that aren't barbaric, and so we like to communicate.
Do you call it whale mail? Because you should.
That's quite good.
It's not bad, actually. No, they just call it post. Whale mail.
He's good at naming
Whale
things.
Why did we not
Quite so,
see
Lisa.
that? Oh, sorry. What were we talking about?
You get mail from the men sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes he wants tea.
What sort of tea?
I don't really know. We fulfill the order. One time, rumor has it that one time he didn't get his tea. And the tea maker here in the city, well, he won't talk about it, but apparently didn't go well for him.
Oh dear. That's quite a shame.
I'm sorry for all the tangents, mate. But how do you make tea in here?
Well, as you can see, there's local flora that does grow inside the whale because there is atmosphere in here. And believe it or not, the bioluminescence of the inside of this creature is enough to create a very low yield photosynthesis that takes place. It's quite incredible. The whale sustains itself from the inside. All it has to do is devour nutrients from, well, essentially planetary bodies once every who knows how long. So,
You get a bunch of sort of jackal-headed new arrivals recently, did you?
what is a jackal?
Big cat thing.
What is
Sort
it?
of with a
Oh,
snout.
oh.
Spots.
Well, I think I know what you mean. No, I don't think so. Nothing like that.
Just checking.
They watch out for them if they show up. They're 12 feet tall, very angry. Although if they're inside their guard, they might be better now.
Well, they're welcome here. Everybody's welcome. If they commit a crime, they're going to be digested. It's just the way it goes. It's happened before. There's a lot of newcomers that don't take too well to their new lives here. It's unfortunate, but that's why we created the Welcoming Center, because we discovered if we just welcomed you all in and gave you a fresh start, well, then there's less need to kill. And
That is very much appreciated.
I thought so. By the way, if you're willing to donate your salvage, we can set you up with a permanent residence here.
Well, that would be up to Zeeps, I would say.
Zeeps is like, I thought we weren't staying.
Is
We're going to
salvage
work on
the principal currency?
Yeah,
Of
for the
the
most
whale,
part.
then.
For the most part, yeah. Parts and salvage and whatnot.
All right, that's rather difficult to transfer. It's not a terribly fungible or liquid currency. I don't know that we'd necessarily look for a residency application in exchange, but
Definitely would want to get some food at some point. I mean,
But we will return to the discussion of where we might end up if we were to stay, which of course we are expecting might be an option.
Right.
But in the meantime, we would like to look around a bit. It's just very important that we figure out if there might be anywhere else someone would have ended up other than the city and space.
We are very good at cataloging people who come through here. So if there was somebody else, we would have spotted them for sure.
there's quite a few someone else's.
Right. And they definitely wouldn't have ended up in one of the other cities.
I mean, the only other places they could have gone is if they had gone to the Bottom Jaw, which is a bar that's located on the outskirts because somebody doesn't like to be sociable, apparently, and yet owns a bar. And then, of course,
I can't remember.
there's, let me look up the name here.
Do with a bar.
we've been there.
Oh, yes.
They're not there.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And then, of course, there's Wreck Peak, which is where the crazy old man lives. Those are really the only places nearby outside.
Well, that seems
Oh,
like
yeah.
Wreck
a place
Peak it
to
is
start.
then.
Okay, honestly, if y'all are going there, I ain't gonna try to stop you. But just be aware. I don't know what you're getting into.
Sounds like being polite might be a good approach.
We have no intention to strong arm anyone into anything, but we do love to meet new people, which is the way to Wreck Peak.
All right. He goes and pulls a brochure out and opens it up where you see a really crude map that has been lovingly drawn and printed out. It almost looks like, Duncan, when Cillian looks at this, you're like, wow, pretty sure that's what the inside of a Disneyland brochure looks like. As he pulls it open, he marks the spot for you. It's not that far. It's probably about maybe 2 miles just east of town. And Wreck Peak looks like it's just a massive rock face that goes up and up and up.
All right.
It doesn't look like it goes too high, but high enough to be called a peak, so to speak. Maybe about the size of some of the buildings in here, just from like scale of what you see on the map.
Maybe we should pick up some tea to bring.
I was thinking of that. How is that terrain? Would we need climbing gear or anything?
No, it's pretty easy to traverse. There's just a path that goes straight up to his doorstep, so to speak.
Well, I think yes, we bring.
Could you direct us to the tea maker?
Sure, that's next door.
Fantastic.
Lovely. Do give our best to Crib, the tour guide of the visitor center. He was lovely and welcoming.
Sure.
Thank you.
There's just one more question I had. It's something about the rules that's been. I'm just trying to understand. The psychic thing. How can you tell if there's a psychic here unless there's already a psychic here?
Yeah, that's kind of the gist of it. I think the assembly has a psychic. I think one psychic is elected to the assembly. I don't know.
Okay.
It hasn't been enforced in a long time. If they've got a way of detecting it, I don't know. Thankfully, I haven't had anybody reading my thoughts, but I don't think.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Pretty sure no one's been reading my thoughts.
You'll be okay.
Well,
Well, we
thank
you for your
you.
time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, my pleasure. Yeah.
Tremendously helpful.
Yeah, and let me know if y'all need anything else. Again, my name is Malurple. And
Hello, Junior.
welcome to Cosm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Blurple.
Yep. He leans back and puts the lollipop back in his mouth and goes back to staring at the replay of Welcome to Cosm. Welcome to Cosm. He's just looking at it like,
Just one final question.
What?
If we, sorry, yeah. If that salvage, which Zeeps and you have the right to, is there any sort of credit system in place?
Well, if you want to give me the location of the down ship, I'll send some folks out there and I'll make sure you're appropriately credited. You'll have to come back here to get it, though. I can't track you down, especially if you're going up to Wreck Peak. I ain't going up there.
Understood.
That's
just,
fantastic.
You
We
know,
just
if
wanna
you'd like to bring someone
tell the
some
tea
tea or
maker,
something
yeah.
that.
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Do you know the
Fantastic.
location to give him?
Can you describe it?
I
What was the
think
state of
if
the
I
ship?
look at the map, I should be able to retrace. It was a fairly straightforward because it was along a route. It was
Yeah,
on a
it's
road.
pretty
Yeah.
easy. It looks like
You
there's
just
actually a
follow
road
the
that leads
road
right
to
out of
get
town
to the
straight up to
ship,
Wreck Peak.
really?
Yeah. It doesn't look like this is going to be a. Let me put it this way. It doesn't look like a mini quest.
So I'll mark that down on the map for Malurple Jr. and thank him very kindly. Ask him to vouch for us if need be. And
Are you laughing at the name, Duncan?
Yeah, it's great.
Malurple
totally rude
Jr.
to laugh at people's names.
I was laughing out of character,
Or-
not
or
in.
compare them to
Unacceptable.
machine gun
Get out.
noises.
You're done. I'm just kidding. All right.
Or compare them to machine gun noises.
Yeah.
In
That
some
was
cultures,
funny.
it's a compliment. Apparently.
I'm sure it was in his.
In the Santaran culture, it's the highest
Highest,
compliment.
yes.
Yes.
We can find him and ask him. Shall we?
Let's shout.
Yes.
To the tea maker, please.
Yes.
Okay, you guys
Sounds
walk
lovely.
next door. It's been about, you guys spend a good chunk of time. When you walk into the tea maker, the first couple of things you see is you see like a row of bizarre looking plants all being sprayed down by one of the workers. It looks like a creature that looks rather alarmingly close to like an Ewok. A little fuzzy thing, just kind of spraying it down and just looking up at it. So engrossed in their job with goggles on, doesn't notice you at all. Back behind the counter is, you see a man whose arm is missing. It looks like it's probably gone just above the elbow, and seems pretty comfortable moving around, picking stuff up, no problems whatsoever. And he is engrossed in a conversation with River Song, who is standing at the counter and asking questions as you all walk in.
Well, hello.
And she looks back at all of you and says, "Would you like some tea? I was about to buy some once I found out there was a tea maker here."
Guarding the TARDIS.
Thought you were staying.
I did stay.
Your definition of stay is odd.
Well, time is relative, isn't it, darling?
Not relevant to the distinct. Never mind. Tea sounds fantastic.
Well, I found one that actually has a kinship to Earl Grey. She holds it up. Would you like some? And the man behind the counter says, "Hold up. Before I sell any more tea, who sent you?"
We just came from the information center. No idea what River's doing.
Yes, Malopal Jr. has been quite lovely to us in getting us assimilated into Cosm, our new home.
Yes.
You see a reaction on his face as this. All right. Fine. What can I sell you?
Well, so I'm told you have a bit of a standing order with a fellow, lives up Wreck Peak.
His eyes widen and says, "What do you know about that?"
Oh, not terribly much at all. We just rather hoped that we might gather a bit of what he has. I mean, if he likes it.
You're going to Wreck Peak?
I mean, I don't know whether it'd be so terribly bad if we did or didn't, but either way, we do rather require tea, and it seems at least a bit of an endorsement.
We're missing about half of our party, and it was said that that might be the place where they ended up. So we figure if we're going out that way, we might as well bring a bit of tea to keep the local off our
Yeah. He goes down and he pulls out a package and wrapped, and he sets it down and goes, "Take this. Let him know it's also from me, okay?"
What's your name?
My name? Malurple.
Ah.
Is that your son we just talked to in the information center?
No, that's my husband.
Oh, you're the wife.
It's very nice to meet you, Merkel.
Nice to meet you,
Sorry
too.
about the arm.
Me too. But it's not so bad. He holds it up. I do just fine.
Quite so.
I have to say, this is a wonderful city, and you're all so friendly, and thank you for your assistance. Tea!
And Zeeps goes, Are you married to your son? I don't understand." And Malurple immediately shoots a glance at Zeeps, and you see this fury build in Malurple's eyes.
See, no, they're just husband and wife.
"Look, kid, there are some cultural things you don't know about here, all right? Get the hell out. All of you, just get out. Take him the tea, get out of my life." And he turns around and he says, "Cubby, come on. We're clearing the room. No one in here until they leave. No one talking to these people. I'm done."
Thank you very much for the tea.
Cubby, apparently the fuzzy creature on the ground, completely ignores. And Malurple, just assuming he's being obeyed, stomps out of the room.
Well, he seemed nice.
"He's an asshole," you hear Cubby say.
Sorry. Zeeps, come on. River. Come along.
River's got this big, stupid grin on her face, and she finishes her tea and sets it down.
See, it's best not to comment on other people's unusual arrangements.
That's
as
just
they
really
are
weird, though. They're both Malurple, and one's Junior, and they're husband and wife, which is
It's not weird, it's
fine.
wonderful.
Well, no, I'm not complaining about the relationship. I'm just saying that's kind of...
No.
It's
All the things we don't understand, they're beautiful, aren't they?
I mean, I guess so. That's true, yeah.
And it might be a bit weird, but we just don't really understand what's going on here yet.
Cubby, do you grow the tea?
Cubby stops finally and pulls those goggles up.
Yes.
And you see iridescent green eyes as Cubby turns to you and says, "Do I grow the tea?" "No. Tea grows itself.
Well, fair enough.
I spray the tea, so it keeps growing."
Is it really a tea, or is it just wouldn't it be considered an herbal infusion?
It's mostly tea, yeah. I mean, it's stuff that grows off the guts of the whale.
Terrible infusion.
Lots of biological, disgusting things that allow fauna to grow here. And then we harvest it and make it into tea and we drink it and we try to pretend that we're not drinking the greenery that grows off the shit inside this creature and goes back to spraying.
Okay.
By the way, you don't want to stand too close. This is bad for the eyes and makes them stop glowing. It's weird. Goes back to spraying.
Well, your positivity is much appreciated.
No,
Thank you, Captain.
my pleasure. This place is bleak. Someone's got to keep a smile on their face.
Most people here seem rather happy for being inside a whale.
About 1 out of 3, really.
You don't really have much of a choice.
Cubby, it's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you so much for your help. I think we'll be on our way.
Right.
Shall
And then
we?
you hear, Cubby, are you coming or not? And Cubby just continues.
Right.
Shall we make our way? And as we do, I would love to take Zeeps aside and teach him just some basic xenoanthropological principles about making contact with new cultures.
Okay, as y'all are walking out of the city, following the map, with the tea in hand, Zeeps is staring at you just like, oh. That's weird, but, points at the doctor, but a good weird, right?
Good weird, like finding out the
weird.
whale you were going to destroy is full of amazing, glorious life forms who've built a city and they're growing tea.
I feel so much better about my decision.
This is a good one.
Yeah, I think I did all right.
You did.
Y'all are way nicer than the captain was.
That is a low bar, but appreciated nonetheless.
I never got to find out what exactly happened to him. Is he still back on the ice?
He took a grenade and blew his own head off.
Oh my goodness. Right.
Before the doctor can interject and stop you from telling the story of the captain's head popping like a water balloon filled with blood, you proceed to explain to Zeeps that the captain committed grenade suicide. You see Zeeps goes a little bit pale and says, okay,
Definitely you chose the right team.
okay. Okay. Yes, well, I'm feeling better about it now then.
It's all right. That's all in the past. It was a bad time, and we're moving forward, and we're going to talk to this nice man and find our way out of this whale and get our friends back. Shall we?
You proceed. It's a 2-mile hike, sort of a steady incline going up. The landscape is not particularly remarkable, but sure enough, there are bioluminescent, like stalks that have grown up here. Bacteria that has evolved to the point where it has become plant life. It's pretty unusual and magnificent and wonderful and very alien looking. And some of it's kind of gross, but some of it's actually quite beautiful. Especially the bioluminescent things. These stalks are just like fuzzy green stalks. It almost looks like they have eyes at the end, but are in fact attracting insects that come. It looks like there's an ecosystem that's been developing around here. Quick side note, the ecosystem in the Dark Crystal is terrifying.
Oh, you can certainly try.
Do you guys remember that rock that just ate that thing? And it was, anyway,
I haven't seen that in so long.
it's terrifying.
should
All
go
right,
back.
so
Don't
as you
know how it
guys
works, just don't mess with it.
as you guys get closer to Wreck Peak, the landscape begins to change, becomes a little more rocky. There's a little less fauna. And as you continue advancing, going up further, it's a steady incline. It's not that hard of a hike, but you begin to see things that are a little out of place as you're getting closer to your destination. Like, as you're walking by, you see, it looks like, it catches your eye. I won't even have you roll for perception on this because it's just laying out on the path. But it looks like a gun. A rusted blaster of some kind, a laser pistol with rust over it. Looks like it's been laying there for a long time.
I pick it up.
You pick it up, and as you heft it up, you can, and just taking a look at it, yeah, this thing hasn't been fired in a while.
Is it still working?
No power.
Is that strictly necessary?
I drop it back on the ground. No, it doesn't work.
Yeah, something rather looked like bad news to me.
As y'all continue to advance up the peak, now I'm going to have you roll an awareness resolve check. Get your 2d6 going.
13.
Oh, double
13.
Dalek. 11.
16?
18.
18.
It's my casting stat.
It's a slow, steady, walk as y'all are moving up. As you continue to move up, you're starting to see stranger things laying on the side of the road. It's a bunch of kids, and they're just looking for a little girl named 11. And Sorry. So as you're moving, yes, and they find 11. Yay!
2 11s.
This one goes to 11.
This one goes to 11. So as you're going up the peak,
Why not make 10 louder?
Roko, you're kind of glancing around, noticing that they're a little. It's starting to look a little like you're approaching a junkyard. Like you're starting to see pieces of metal and fabric, and looks like old things that have been discarded or left on the side. Until you notice that there's a skeleton laying over one of the rocks, and it doesn't look like the bones have been picked. It looks like it's not ancient. Let's put it that way. And you just kind of notice it at a glance as you're walking up. And then you're starting to see more unusual things, Roko, as you're moving about. Everyone else seems to be kind of lost in conversation and checking it out. But Roko, you see something. It looks like a hand sticking up out of the like the rock, the soil, and it's kind of like grasping out like this. It's very like ashen gray.
Is it moving at all?
No, it looks like it's just like maybe rigor mortis is set in or something, but it doesn't look. It's not bone. It looks like someone's hand sticking up out of the rock as y'all are moving up.
I would rather keep an eye out there. If you look right there, you might
Yeah,
see.
you looks like somebody is buried under the rock. It's hard to tell with the lighting is so bad in here, and the perception checks weren't all that great. So you see a hand sort of sticking up out of the rock, out of some rubble and like dirt.
As in rubble that has been assembled around it, or as in someone
Settled.
got swallowed by
Like
a rock?
it looks like somebody. It looks like it's just settled. Like somebody's been here for a while, perhaps. You don't know, but it looks like just the sediment has settled over them.
I am just
Unless you want to get close.
unsurprisingly a shade curious.
Yes. Does anybody have insatiable curiosity? Or yes. Okay. So I'll give you a story point if you kick that in, since it's a flaw.
I mean, naturally, I rather can't not.
Okay.
So.
Cool. So Roko immediately beelines for this.
Oh, be
right,
a
cool.
bit careful. But
Is anybody following? Just so I make sure, or is Roko go by Roko?
I'll go. No,
All right, cool.
I have it too.
Yes.
I'll go with her.
Okay.
Them, sorry.
Wait. So who's going with Roko?
How far off the path is it?
Like 20 feet.
and once I see them going, I'll follow.
Okay.
And if the doctor goes,
Everybody walks over.
Is River with us? Or?
Yeah, it looks like somebody's buried underneath it. You start removing some of the dirt. So, Doctor, you're watching this happen, and Roko, it looks like you might have uncovered something archaeological in nature as you're sort of brushing it off. There's Corsair, you have the realization after the doctor does. And your blood turns cold for a second, Doctor. Because as the dirt comes off, you see the face of a weeping angel. A split right down the half. It looks like whatever condition this weeping angel was in, it's undeniably an angel. But the expression on its face with its fangs open looks like it's frozen in a mask of horror, and the thing has been split right down from its cheekbone, and there's no other parts of its body present.
Stop! Don't touch that.
Does my knowledge alien cultures?
I'll let you roll.
Yeah.
Weeping angels are not exactly unknown in the universe.
Right.
So go ahead and make your roll.
And what's the other one?
So it's going to be
Awareness?
ingenuity, and
All right.
this is going to be
Knowledge.
ingenuity, and I believe this would be knowledge.
Yeah.
Straight up knowledge.
Right. 4 plus 6 is 10 plus 15.
15?
Yes.
You don't know exactly what it is, but let's put it this way. Yes, but
I don't know not to blink.
you see it, and then you see the expression on the doctor's face, and your instinct is immediately like, oh, okay, why is the doctor reacting like that? Like, you immediately have this kind of pullback reaction. Doctor, you happen to know weeping angels don't die easy.
Yeah.
If this one is dead, it looks like it's inoperable. You don't know, but it looks like this one has been demolished. Like something.
This is one of the most dangerous creatures in the universe, but I don't know what could have done this to it.
It's a good thing we're bringing that tea.
There's always a bigger fish. Well,
Just
Whales and animals.
for the record, if you ever see a face like that again, For the love of God, don't blink.
What's chilling again about the sight of this angel is not only the state that it's in, but the look on its face. It's not predating at all. It looks like whatever its
I've never
final
seen it
moments.
afraid.
Yeah, this angel looks like it was terrified before it froze again.
Well, I
Should
would
we
like to
bury-
just cover it up a bit more.
Kick some dirt on it. Like,
Um,
nothing to see here.
Well, if there is anything that I could use as a marker, like warning, don't dig this.
Warning, weeping angel.
Much obliged.
No marker really. But
It's not everything in the world is beautiful and deserves our. Some things we should run from, but don't actually run. Oh, never mind. We'll get back. Never mind. We'll just,
okay.
Run it backwards.
So you continue on your way.
Yes.
And as you continue on your way, you're starting to see more and more signs of essentially corpses up the slope. And Doctor, at one point, you see what looks like the remnants of an outer shell of a Dalek. It looks like it's been peeled and just discarded off on the side. As you continue to ascend towards the top of this peak where this old man apparently is, it looks like you're starting to put the pieces together. It looks like there have been a couple of attempts to come up and say hello to the old man. When you finally reach the top of this peak, what you see standing before you is a massive wooden door that has been built into the side of a rock face. And on this wooden door is a sign written in the King's English, or the Queen's English as it were. And it says, "Please wipe your feet before entering."
Easy enough to do.
it's a reasonable request. Is there a mat?
There is. There's a welcome mat.
Oh, Zeeps. Talk less.
Yeah, okay, I could do that.
Right, are we all ready?
Yeah,
This
yes.
is what must needs be done. We'll be cautious and friendly.
Doctor.
You hear knocking.
We come in.
Okay, you hear somebody shouting, "Come in." The door opens up, and you, to your astonishment, see what looks like the interior of maybe a study or a headmaster's room that looks like it was transplanted right out of a Cambridge college and planted in the middle of this rock face. You see beautiful lacquered wooden floors and dark woods, bookshelves. You see jars with bizarre things in them. This place looks like the interior of a scholar's room, and there's some papers thrown about on the floor as well. You also see teacups everywhere that look like they've probably grown mold in them, like they've been left out for quite a while, as well as some biscuits that have probably been left out for some time. And in the back, you see, in this study, you see there is an area off to the side where it looks like it goes into a back kitchen area where probably the voice was coming from.
You've brought tea, haven't you? I've got the kettle on.
Yes, we have actually. Hello.
Milk? You'll have tea, won't you?
Of course.
Yes.
Milk?
No, thank you. Milk of what? Exactly.
What?
Milk.
As I've been told.
1 lump or 2?
None for me, thanks.
Black is fine.
Sugar?
No, thank you.
What do you mean by lump then? It's not
Clink,
sugar.
clink, clink, clink.
Wait to find out.
And then you see entering into the, coming out of the kitchen
With the tray.
with a tray of tea and all manner of things.
Yes. Hello.
Hello. Oh, it's been quite a while. You have the tea, don't you?
We do.
Excellent. Hold on.
From the tea maker.
Whale tea. You ever thought of anything like whale tea? God, I miss Slotna. Tips. Well, we make do. Anyway, you're late. What was it that you wanted?
Are we late then? It's very nice to meet you. I'm the doctor, and you are.
That's charming. My name is Professor Chronotis.
Chronotis?
Professor of Chronology at Cambridge University. Hello, and that's very
From
funny.
Cambridge, Cillians from Earth.
Are you?
Yeah.
Ah,
Never
Miss,
been to Cambridge, though.
I have you know, I was a Regius Professor of Cambridge appointed by King George III himself. I taught there for a very long time.
King George III?
Yes.
How long have you been in here?
Well, quite a while, I would think. I've lived here quite a while.
You said you studied chronology.
I'm a professor of chronology. I was assigned by King George to study several things. If there was a way to travel through time, if there was a reason one thing happened after another, and if there was any way of stopping it. Yes, no, and yes. And so I just figured, since that work was relatively easy, I took up residence.
Sorry, stopping what exactly?
Time.
You've learned to stop time.
Well, it's not that I've learned to stop time, it's that I've learned that time can be stopped.
At this point, River, who's in the back, who's staring at this man, her eyes narrow a little bit and she says, "Who are you?"
You look familiar. I always forget a face. Professor, yes, Granotis. Hello.
Hello.
And who are all of you?
I go by the name the Corsair.
Corsair. Yes.
And I'm the doctor, and this is Zeeps.
Pleasure.
And I'm Cillian.
Syrian, pleasure.
And hello, I'm Roka.
Yes, that's very difficult to say. But no, who are you really? It's
Well,
everyone.
people who ended up inside a whale.
Well, that does happen, sadly. That's sort of part of the defense system to keep the city safe. You see, I have actually constructed a mechanism that keeps the cities from being discovered from anyone who has any sort of chronal technology of any kind.
Really?
Yes, there is no way that any creature that has time travel capabilities can enter the city.
Really?
They get shunted off to me, and I take care of them, and that way we are protected from intruders.
Have you had any other visitors?
Many.
Quite recently, a human woman about this high, robot arm.
Define quite recently.
Oh, right, time is relative.
Would have been within a day.
I don't think anything has happened.
A lot of women with robot arms?
There's been
Are some Karen,
days.
perhaps?
I can think of several thousand days, and none of them have any robot-armed women.
An enormous ood.
I haven't seen a nude for months, years, centuries. It's hard to tell. It's been quite a while, I can say. Or it will be. I'm so sorry. My tenses get a bit muddled. Quite a while. It will be quite a while since I've seen a nude, but there might be one presently. I can't tell.
Are you the one who peeled the Dalek out there like a banana?
Oh, that. Yes. If something hostile comes through into the labyrinth circuit that I've made, the time labyrinth, it gets popped up to me, and I take care of it. No trouble.
Have you noticed any disturbances lately?
Not that I'm aware. This has been working well for. Yes. It's been
I'm so
working
sorry,
quite
has
well.
your kettle boiled? Would you like to steep this?
Oh, yes. Hold on. Go get the kettle.
Okay. Yeah, coming back with a kettle, setting it down. It doesn't take more than a few moments.
Now, as cute as it is to use the name of the doctor, I would have you know it's bordering on tasteless at this point. I have you know he was a bit of a friend, and I not to take umbrage with whatever you were wanting to do with yourself, but
Yes.
that's who are you really?
Professor Granotis, it's good
Yes.
to re-meet you.
Yes.
Are you as familiar with the laws of space and dimensions as you obviously are with the masteries of time?
Well, of course, I've spent my time
I'm the
educated
doctor.
as
I'm
any.
just not the doctor.
There's no.
Alternate dimension,
You
Doctor.
don't. Well, that's.
Nice to meet you.
I scuttle over. I take out my broken pocket watch and I push it into her forehead and try and read it.
as you press, so yes, the old man comes over and basically takes out a pocket watch. It looks like it's broken. It looks like an old sort of, it looks like it's from Earth. It looks like it's an old, broken, like simple pocket watch. And
I
just
do think we would have gotten along.
and presses it against your forehead. And as you do, you notice the hands go flicker a little bit.
Yes, hello. I'm the doctor.
Oh no.
Hello?
Doctor. Ah, doctor. Oh dear.
You said you were a friend of the doctor?
Was quite some time ago.
I don't know if we've met then.
I don't think we have. I've spent quite a long time on Earth. I've
So have I.
several of my lifetimes, and I more or less keep to myself.
So, how did you arrive? You're not from Earth, I'm guessing.
You know a different dimensions. Oh, this is going to be complicated. On this dimension, and perhaps on yours, I don't know. I'm, of course, a Time Lord, like yourself.
And me, too. also.
And you.
Yes.
What would you say your name was again?
The Corsair.
Corsair. Yes. Yes. It's funny, I always forget a face.
Well, this is a new one.
Is it?
Yes?
Not an old one.
No.
I've been wondering what happens to the old faces if they. Yes!
Good question.
Dimensions!
Yes. Quite a bit is different here. For instance, in my world, the Time Lords have not become crazy tyrants.
Yes. Well, the Time
Lately.
Lords did go a bit batty, I would say, and
A bit.
there needed to be a place for people to organize, to prepare, to save themselves. So this whale, I created a circuit to protect us from the Time Lords, and it is the reason why they haven't found these cities yet, and why we're safe, and why no piece of chronal technology can enter into this whale. They can barely find it.
No piece of technology.
No!
Well, if one happened to get in, how would it get out?
That's ridiculous. No piece of technology could get in. And anything from this universe would instantly be ferreted directly to me, and I would be able to
Well, if
deal with it.
wasn't
to-
from this universe.
When you say that, by the way, River, you see her, she stiffens a little bit, and then she looks down and pulls up the sleeve of her arm where her vortex manipulator was located. And you see it's not there. And she goes, "What in the hell? Where is it?"
Oh, I go into the trash can and go digging.
You look at the waste paper basket, you pull out a few papers, some old writings, you don't know what you were drawing there, and you see, there it is, the vortex manipulator laying at the bottom of the waste paper basket.
It's better safe than sorry.
Is there more than one there?
I tend to break them for safety's sake. You have a TARDIS, don't you?
Oh, yes, a bit.
And you flew another dimensional TARDIS into the labyrinth.
Was it, we quite needed our friends back. They'd been shipwrecked here, and we're still missing half of them. And, sorry, what is the labyrinth going to do exactly?
And may I have my vortex manipulator back, please?
Yeah, don't use it here. It'll just shunt you off somewhere else again.
or you
River,
can try
River,
it.
River takes it, but you notice there's a slight trepidation as she reaches over and takes it, but she's giving him looks like, what the hell? Kind of like slides it back over her arm and makes sure, you see she powers it down and covers it up.
Well, one moment. I go into the other room and pull out some chalkboards that are covered.
So coming back is he's dragging this massive chalkboard that looks like it is. On first sight of it, Rocco, you immediately recognize that this is Gallifreyan script, and the concepts written on this board are, again, frustratingly way beyond the capacity of understanding. Doctor, upon sight of the writings on the chalkboard, you instantly detect that this Time Lord is not. You're just looking at the concepts and the theories and everything that's drafted up on this thing. Whoever this man is clearly, intricately, and even for a Time Lord, knows very well the inner workings of time travel, the vortex, everything. For a Time Lord, and Jody, the Corsair would spot that too. Like, this is some grade A stuff. Like, you're pulling it out and you're like, oh, oh, like the doctor is like, oh wow, like you can see his, and then brings out a second chalkboard and connects it to the first.
Nice work there.
I've been working on this for quite some time. The Time Lords are the least of our problems. This time itself is having breakage, schisms, paradoxes. It's
Absolutely, and someone is using the paradox energy, and I may have had a little bit to do with that breakage. Back in my world, it was very. The Time War ended differently where I'm from, and we were trying to save Gallifrey, so we used 12 or 13 TARDISes to freeze it in a moment, and I ended up here, and we may have broken something. And we've been tracking down the rips in space-time, and we need to close them, but someone is using the paradox energy. Can you stop it?
freeze it. How?
Oh, it was brilliant, actually. All of the different versions of myself, we arranged our TARDISes around Gallifrey because it had been gone. It had been gone, and then it wasn't gone, maybe. I don't know. I don't exactly know what happened, but when I got done, I was here, and I had a new face, and Gallifrey's quite different here. And it's been rather a lot.
Sounds like you.
You used 13 TARDISes to create a time cage, a time lock, a time... You froze Gallifrey.
And it was that or be completely destroyed, so...
We're going to die. Well...
Can you track the changes to this reality? You probably haven't noticed that things are changing.
Oh, I'm well aware
Okay,
things are
yes.
changing. I don't
Sitting
know what's
here is
changing because by the time it's changed, I don't know what it is anymore. It's not like I necessarily am particularly keen on things that don't change in the first place. I have a bit of a brain like a sieve. I'll remember that later for the last time.
Right.
But I was missing. I start writing in now that there's a dimensional breach and a time lock.
These equations are going to take you into almost unknown territory as you like pick up the chalk and you see it all right in front of you.
Are you trying to close these breaches?
I think we'd better.
Already closed one of them.
Yes. Yes, right. Flip the chalkboard, there's more. You did. There.
The me from here was working on it when he died in some manner which some people can't access the memories of. I know
And
time
some
is a bit
people don't
wonky
want to
for you.
share.
Of course I know how he died.
Yes, Professor Cadotis?
I don't remember.
It's a
Do you remember
problem
the-
that's going around.
You don't by any chance know who the Lord President is of Gallifrey?
I did. It's...
Well, that's very odd.
Things are happening. I'd like to make you an offer. We were friends here, for what it's worth.
Delighted to hear it, I'm sorry.
Well, you
And
take his word for it.
I'm sorry.
no, it's very fair. It's a very fair comment. That this dimension changing can make fools of us all, I imagine.
A bit.
I need to see this rift, and I need to see your effect on it. And I have a sneaking suspicion that we need to be very careful. Are there any others with you from another dimension?
It's
Just
Sicilian.
me.
He's from Earth.
Oh, thank God they've got an England there. We need to keep the two of you very safe. And I need to see this rift, and I need to see how it interacts with the two of you to finish my calculations.
Just her presence was able to close it,
Interesting.
scanning it with her sonic.
I have my own equipment. I can let you leave this place.
Right, that was a bit of a question. We had heard that it was impossible to leave and that you were the only person who knew how.
I'm the only person who knows how, because I'm the only person who knows why no one can.
Yes, why? Why is that?
You're in my TARDIS right now.
Yeah.
Yes. It doesn't
Lovely.
fly and it doesn't travel anymore, but I've reworked it for the time lock. It's the thing that keeps people from leaving once they're here. It keeps it safe. No one can talk about where we are and where we're working to overthrow the Time Lords, but now there are bigger problems.
So wait, have you been working with the Resistance then?
I've been keeping this place safe since its inception.
And I look over to River.
River, as you look over to River, you realize that she has not taken her eyes off of him for a while now. And
anything-
is giving him a look of bewilderment, and it looks like she's trying to remember him. And she's kind of giving him this stare.
Anything you'd like to share with the rest of the class, River?
Please, and River? River Song?
Have we met?
Ages ago, in a much better world, in a much better time.
Why don't I remember you?
Several faces ago, sadly. It was a bit of an adventure. I had maybe let certain artifacts out of my possession that hadn't necessarily belonged to me, that I may have stolen from the Time Lords at the time, and it caused a bit of a kerfuffle, but the doctor did forgive me, and he was quite pleased with how everything ended out. I'm surprised you don't remember. I was hoping you wouldn't look back in anger in such a thing.
Oh.
It's fine.
You see all of a sudden River just kind of,
Yes?
I'm sorry?
What?
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 No,
So it's
no,
not
I'm
just
sorry, I
me
don't.
then.
I'm sorry. For some reason I thought I knew you, but now I realize I've never seen you
I
before.
feel like you were there before. It's going to give me such a headache.
No, sorry.
I'm so forgetful sometimes. My chronology can be a bit...
Sure you're not talking about something that hasn't happened yet, then?
No, I'm not. Sometimes I do talk about things. Oh dear, I've been holding off on the washing up until you got here. I didn't want to, till we left, I didn't want to be rude. I think I've let this place go a bit.
We can help tidy up a bit.
I
How
would be
exactly
happy to
did
while
you
you
know
talk.
we were
And-
coming?
'Cause you were, and I'd run out of tea. And you were bringing some.
I'd like to start picking up and cleaning.
Okay.
And maybe just take another look through the wastebasket. Maybe for a broken one. Just in case.
So, Roko, the reptilian plant hybrid creature, begins to very politely start to sweep up a little bit. And put some of your
I'm
papers.
fine, and
Okay.
I'm just going to sit down and start writing a letter very quickly, manically.
As you start scribbling this letter at incredible speeds, Roko, you move over to the waste paper basket. Again, it's filled. It looks like he started a novel and then ended it with "This is boring," and stopped. And then you're seeing all sorts of like drawings. You see as you're throwing away one paper, it just says "Journal Day, not sure." The Weeping Angel died again today. Pity. And then you're like terribly terrifying things is what you read, and then you kind of throw that away. And as you continue to sift through, and then you're seeing lots of Gallifreyan script, it looks like his writings are just as he himself is. Like his thoughts come to mind, he writes them down and moves on. You don't see anything else in the waste paper basket, aside from all these like discards and whatnot.
I finished the letter, I fold it up. I can deactivate the labyrinth circuit, and that will allow, you have a TARDIS, correct?
Yes.
That will allow your TARDIS to leave, but it does leave the city vulnerable.
Vulnerable to being discovered by the Temporal Guard.
Yes.
Right.
I've written a letter. I'm going to put it in the post in a couple of days' time. Someone will come up with my delivery. I have a man down there. He knows how to reset everything in case it needs to be. It's just a couple of days of possible danger. Something I wouldn't take normally, but this is special circumstances, and it's not like there'll be a guard to deal with in too much time. In 3 minutes, give or take a few years.
What?
What?
What now?
It's complicated, but
Could they hurt the star whale if it were off?
I imagine they would.
I think they're looking more for the doctor and her companion and me than anyone else
They're
here.
looking for everybody here.
And I have rather a lack of concern for collateral damage.
That
If you
is
could just
true.
clarify that part about the guard not existing in 3 minutes.
Well, time is disintegrating.
It is a bit.
Yes, we know that.
It's not going to matter what's living in it if you no bother about the piranha in the fish tank if the fish tank's leaking.
Yeah, fair enough. Would you like to help fix it?
Very much so.
Right.
So may I come with you and see one of these fissures? I might be able to study it.
Do we have the address of the other two?
We do.
The
but-
TARDIS, yeah. Back at the TARDIS, the other doctor gave you guys the location of the last 3.
But we
You've
have
already
some-
sealed 1.
Companions who have been lost, and we must find them.
They're not here. The vortex manipulator would have come here.
It would have, wouldn't it?
I look around just to make sure I didn't lose another vortex manipulator.
You start sifting through all of your stuff. You're coming across some of the unusual collections that you've made over the years and concoctions that you've created to your ends, and you're not seeing any vortex manipulators as you're like sifting through all of yours.
You're
belongings.
probably fine. I feel like I usually pretty good about tidying up anything that might become a problem after last time.
What happened last time?
Let something dangerous get away. Several 100,000. I don't know. Quite a while ago, back on Earth. Yes.
Oh.
We got it back. Yeah.
Rather that lawn ornament we found earlier, I suspect.
Hopefully didn't
Weeping
let it go on Earth.
Oh, yeah, they do come around every now and then. They're curious. This little bit of non-time does occasionally attract some, but they get caught and shifted down the drain like any other bit of refuse.
Oh my. Right, but your TARDIS can't travel.
Oh no, not anymore.
Mine has its own quirks.
At least you still have one.
I had to take it apart to build the machine that keeps everyone safe.
Well done with that.
Thank you.
And the assembly answers to you, do they?
Well, sometimes I suppose. I don't know.
Why the rule against psychics?
It's the one thing we can't keep locked out, is psychic transmission. It's the one way that it's the one vulnerability this place has, is that some sort of psychic energy pierces the labyrinth, makes its way to someone on the outside, and they inform the Time Lords.
Right.
They said there was a psychic on the assembly, though.
Is there?
So that's how they can tell if it's.
We were down at the
news.
visitor centre. It's lovely down there.
They brochures.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
So
It might be true.
They could
It's probably true. That would make sense. I would definitely do that.
they could detect any sort of psychic transmission or use.
Oh, yes.
Zeeps just suddenly goes,
Anywhere-
and you're psychic!
Well,
Oh, but you've been quite careful.
Do you have a hat? Because I would keep that under it if I were you. It's good. It's not a crime to be psychic here, just a crime to.
What did you do?
When we first got here, I looked for her.
Yeah.
Right, you
Ah,
had
yes, right there. There it is. Yeah.
Sure enough, there is in your paper, you detected a psychic pulse not about 6 or 7 hours ago.
Yes, there it is. These things happen. Oh well.
It's all fine then, yes?
River
Oh.
says, so you're saying that she could be a fugitive right now?
If you're not careful, we tend to be a little kind to new people, but it would definitely, you would have gotten a stern talking to at the very least.
Do you think
everywhere I
they've-
go, I seem to be in trouble with the law somehow?
Well, gee,
Do
I
you
wonder
think they
why.
picked it up over there?
Oh, I did, yes.
Do you think they did?
I
or
haven't
do
told them.
you? Oh, you haven't.
No,
told
I
them.
don't think I've said anything about it. No,
Okay.
no, I haven't.
They didn't
no.
say anything. At
So
the
they
visitor
don't
center,
monitor
so-
these sort of things. That's just you.
Oh, I monitor it, and they inform the council.
Okay.
As long as it didn't alert any
The council
QGs,
or
that'd
the
be much more
assembly?
convenient.
I think we were
yes,
halfway
which?
gotten here.
Nothing.
Oh, yes.
You said council.
Did
I
I?
couldn't
Yes.
get in
Oh.
anyway.
Yes, I informed the yes.
The assembly.
Yes, is that what they're calling it these days?
Right.
Yes. right? I'm going to go onto the shelf and start pulling statues and replacing books and scooting everything around.
It feels so nice. As you're sliding those books in, you're finding a whole new order that makes sense as you're like sliding the titles in.
I pull a toy labyrinth, an old Tic Tac labyrinth toy.
The ball immediately steadies itself as you pull it out.
I solve it. Leave it on the desk with a little note.
Okay.
And walk out the door.
Walks past you all.
Put the letter in the post. Put the flag up.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, what was that?
I've just deactivated the field.
Okay.
It'll be down for hours, days. I don't know. The post here is terrible. I really should do something about that. It's quite a problem.
You
I
step.
admit I wrote a letter complaining to the.
Perhaps we could take a more direct approach.
Yes, this should be fine. Let's. Yes, we'll take it with us. I go get my bag
Okay.
and my umbrella.
All right. You go back into the back room, into the kitchen. Come back with your,
Collect the rest
as
of
you
the
do,
tea.
if you want to like to describe your hat, and you come back in your full regalia.
Well, no, I've got just no hat.
ready
I've
to
just
travel
got my an umbrella, a nice black umbrella with a little. It's a very fancy gold gem and a very nice Galfreyan umbrella, and a carpet bag, which is paisley and blue and pink, and a very nice carpet bag, and it has an umbrella caddy built in.
Nice. Professor Cordotis, shall we?
After you, of course, Doctor. This is quite a while.
Right. Your letter. Who should we? Have you already deactivated the field?
Oh yes, far too late now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. Well, then let's hurry, shall we? Minimize the danger to the city. if we
Right.
can.
Yes. Yes. It should be fine. There's only a little bit of time. Yeah.
Okay.
Is the TARDIS still where you left it unguarded, River?
There's no such thing as an unguarded TARDIS.
It's true, right.
But yes, if you must know, it's right where I left it.
Right. Let's make our way.
Right.
So proceeding out the door, closing behind you.
Yes.
For an old man, and you can only guess how old he must be, being a Time Lord, surprisingly spry, as he kind of very jaunts off down the path. It's an unusual sight. This old man, this old Time Lord with his carpet bag and his umbrella, walking past the corpses of some of the deadliest things that you've encountered in your lifetimes, Doctor, kind of discarded unceremoniously off onto the side of the road. It kind of hints to you that despite how harmless he seems, he's clearly capable as he moves past all of these beings that have been laying off on the side of the road. Zeeps, as you all are moving off, two things you notice. One is that River looks totally fine now. Doesn't look suspicious anymore. And it's just kind of like, seems pretty comfortable now. Doesn't seem like, seems like it finally clicked that maybe she didn't know where she spotted him from. But you've seen a shift in her suddenly. She seems much more comfortable now. And as you all proceed forward, Zeeps lingers back and he leans over to you, Roko, and says, "We're going to find her, okay? We're going to find her, I promise. I mean, I know it's not really my place to promise because I'm sort of new and I don't know anything about time travel or other aliens and stuff, but she's my friend and she was nice to me and I know she means a lot to you and we're going to find her."
Zeeps, dear. I think she's gone. And as I say that, and it's been happening for the past few minutes, the blossoms that I have, the little white ones, are wilting, and as we walk, they're falling off.
We've just hit 140, and this is an excellent point to break for our quick, 5 to 10 minute break. So we're going to take it now, give Taliesin a moment, because he has been
Hi.
running at 150 miles an hour in
I
full
love
blood,
this
like full
shit.
character.
I love this shit.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
So excited because there are a few Whovians that I've met in my life who are as Whovian as Talus and Jaffe. So it's
I'm
lovely.
so
to have
hoping
you.
people are Googling Chronotis right now.
They
This
are.
is Such,
They are.
It's my favorite.
I'm
Time
not going to
Lord.
lie. Every now and then I check the feed on my phone to see if people are catching on to what's going on. And yes, you guys in chat have they've already been like Googling the hell out of you. So it's really interesting to watch it unfold. So stay tuned. We're going to be gone for about, I guess, 5, possibly 10 minutes, and then we'll be right back to finish off today's game. So stay tuned. Hi, welcome back. We are back from our break on TBD RPG in the middle of our Doctor Who game. For those of you who are just tuning in, may I please introduce Taliesin Jaffe.
Hello.
Local friend, I believe, a companion of the Geek and Sundry Twitch. I feel like you do something here on Thursday nights.
Do you like RPGs? You're pretty good at it.
I don't fly planes normally, but like, I think I would be willing to give it a go with a little bit of training. And,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we'll go ahead and jump back into the game. We are all sufficiently caffeinated, it looks like. Thank goodness we actually kept coffee on good supply for this episode. I'm just going to put that one down.
I switched to tea and I didn't make the mental suggestion connection until right now.
You're like,
I
"Oh my
just saw
goodness."
your coffee cup.
You did. You say this Cronotus. Yeah.
Did you tell the people at Starbucks that your name was Cronotus?
Tell them my name is Taliesin often enough. They barely blink at this point.
Excellent. I wish I could have been
They
there when
can't
you
even
ordered that
get
cup of
my
coffee.
name right. How do they do that?
I just say go for it because if they spell it, it's Welsh. If they spell it right, it's just going to fall apart anyway. They're going to just say coffee for
Cronotus?
and it's like they're having a stroke. So I just like spell it how you think it's and like get creative.
Yeah.
You know, I'm even like for dumbass Mohawk is fine. I'll take whatever.
Yes, indeed. So welcome back to the most bizarre episode of the Wednesday Club you've ever seen.
Yay!
Premiering today on
Friday.
On Friday.
Yeah. Breaking all the rules.
Yes. So
Invisible Matt Key.
let's go ahead and pick up where we left off, which is, of course, your new companion, Cronotus, who is apparently a Time Lord.
Whose name I'm going to start getting right. Very sorry. Heard it wrong.
It's my fault. I was very mumbly.
Is it proceeded out the door of the TARDIS, which apparently is typical of Gallifreyan breaking the laws of space and time, is inside the face of this mountain, on this inside this
Yours
whale.
is a disguise circuit. Fine.
Yeah, not too shabby. Supposedly, Cronotus has used a piece of technology, a circuit called the Labyrinth Circuit, which he has been using to keep time travelers from coming in and going in the whale. Has apparently deactivated it, and now you are all headed back to your TARDIS, leaving the question as to where the hell Roko, or not Roko, but Finn, Meatstick, Velig, and the other two who...
Ava
like,
Brennick and Drep.
the other two poachers, whose names are Ava and Drep, and Brennick, I believe, who was
Brennick's
the...
dead, right?
Oh, Brennick, no, I don't think Brennick's
Adric
dead.
is dead.
Oh,
right?
sorry,
Adric is dead.
Adric.
It's
Yeah.
Adric who
Three
decided
poachers
to
unaccounted
eat
for.
death.
Literally.
Yes, he had
Good
a
job,
very
traumatizing Zeeps.
intimate encounter with a grenade. After Meatstick very easily tossed him into the canyon to die. Quick thinking by Matthew Mercer. Well done, sir. Toss him over, let him die. Okay, so we begin with you guys traipsing down the side of this mountain as the graveyard that y'all are walking through of all the life forms that have tried to invade Cronotus's sanctum have ended up, as I've said before, unceremoniously corpseified on the side of the road coming up. You're beginning to understand why the locals have started to kind of create a legend around the strange old man on the mountain.
No tea.
Yes, Professor, I'm so pleased to have your help and your expertise as we do this. But if I did know you here as I did on my world, you might realize if we could just avoid any killing.
Oh well, I can certainly do what I can. This was more of a rat trap situation, really. It was once they were stuck here, they were either stuck here, and we would have hundreds of these things, and they were never going to leave, or I just sort of quietly took care of them, quietly.
Right.
It seemed to be the most humane thing in the end, and this city is far more important than the life of a weeping angel and Dalek. But yes, I
Dangers arise,
happily
I
follow your
understand.
lead for now, obviously.
Very insistent on it, for better or worse.
No, it's a fine sign of moral character. Yes.
So, are you headed straight to your TARDIS? Are you going back to Cosm? What's the destination?
Well, we had to drop off the letter. I think.
Yes,
The letter?
I'm gonna yell at the postman for 10 minutes and berate them about the service.
Okay. So when you when you arrive in Cosm, it looks like if there is a legend sprouting around the old man, a lot of people probably have not seen him face to face, so no one seems to take notice. Nearby the welcoming center is the post, where you see there's an assortment of aliens. You see one of those. Actually, what you see is a creature very similar to the one that gave you all a ride coming into Cosm, and is like the tentacle face, like not a mind flayer again. Like it looks more like the face of a creature that has human features and a jawline with tentacles coming down a little bit, but and the octopus-styled eyes, but not hostile looking. Not to be confused with Chlorotus, I believe his name was. So as you approach, this creature is basically lifting up bags and putting it in the back of a giant speeder bike. And it's just like, let's see, it's 14? Was there 15? Oh, I can't see. Oh! Sees the old man and goes, kind of stumbles back against the speeder bike and goes, What are you doing out of...
I don't even have time to register another complaint with your department. No, I'm very cross. I hand the letter. I need things taken care of. I'm going to be gone for a bit.
Yes.
You realize that the safety of everyone you care about is in your hands now.
You could see a color change because of the fact that he's sort of related to a cephalopod. You see a sudden shift in the pigment of his color, and it goes from like a typical sort of dark pink to like a deep purple. If you didn't know any better, it would be like the equivalent of a blush or maybe like turning pale. You're not sure, but it's somewhere in that expression range. And he just says, yes.
Now would be good.
Yes.
And wipe your feet!
The creature immediately sticks that letter, not in one of the bags, but puts it in his... Looks like it stuffs it into like his jacket pocket and gets on the bag and is looking back over his shoulder at Corotus, just like... and awkwardly, like, Austin Powers trying to like turn around, kind of goes back and forth and keeps looking as he's trying to get this thing to U-turn without getting any closer to you guys. And then finally speeds down the road.
Right, we should say the tea came with regards from Maladel. Huh?
No, they do something right.
Is there any other business that we should make sure is taken care of for the defense of the city before we go?
There's extra instructions for him on how to enable the automatic defenses. They should take care of most problems. Should be fine, and I expect that I will eventually be coming back somehow.
Do we need any more tea for the journey?
If I'm leaving this place, I think I'm going to be comfortable with the notion that there will be things not grown in a whale somewhere. I could really use something not grown in a whale.
Right.
That would
Let's
be lovely.
go.
Zeeps leans over and says, he leans over to you, Cillian, and goes, are we leaving then? Is this over?
It seems that way. I just kind of do what they say.
Me too.
I feel like I'm in over my head most of the time.
Yeah. That's exactly how I feel. Exactly how I feel. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we'll be at the bottom of all this before you know it, though.
Right. Yeah.
That's the thing about time I seem to be learning from all of these people. It's all relative, and it will all be over before you think.
Right. Yeah.
Shall we? Is everyone ready?
I believe so.
River's being completely quiet, but she looks like she's just kind of following at this point, which is uncharacteristic of River Song.
Yeah.
But she doesn't look like she's just kind of keeping to herself at this point.
On the walk back, I'd like to pull her aside at some point, but...
She says, yes?
So we're all sitting. River, so Professor Chronotis has worked with the Resistance. Have you all been in contact all this time?
I'm not aware that he was a part of the Resistance. I think... No, he wasn't.
You had a bit of an odd... Why does he think he's with the Resistance if he's not?
Well, there are some Time Lords that don't agree, but aren't willing to pick up arms to fight. A lot of them kind of wanted to just lay low or live their own life. But the Temporal Guard passed rules, or rather they passed rules on behalf of the Council of Gallifrey, that time travel was strictly forbidden without the authorization of the Council. And they sent out the Temporal Guard to slay anyone who broke that rule. It's possible that a Time Lord as old as he is, assuming he is who he says he is, and that is someone who is old, probably decided they didn't want to live by the rules of the Council. That's all I can figure. But he wasn't one of our allies. I never had it. I feel like I met him once some time ago.
Do you remember it?
No, not really. Which is unusual. I can't shake the feeling that I knew him. Or that maybe I crossed paths with him. She just shrugs. The memory's not there, so...
Do you know why he... Well, that is odd. Would you be alright with Roko trying to check it out once we get out of here?
What do you mean? My mind? Doctor, you're incredibly sweet, and you know I love you very much. I don't know if you've noticed this, darling, but that creature hates me, and I'm not about to let it go wandering around in my mind.
River Roko wouldn't hurt a fly.
Well, there's not much argument I can present to you if you're going to argue in its favour. Or do they
Roko has reasons to be upset with you. You know that.
Yes, I understand that no one really likes how callous I am about the way of things. What?
We'll continue this discussion later.
So what, you want to let her...
Them?
Them. She looks back at Roko.
You used to be more careful.
Can I talk to you in private? Like, more private than this? Where someone couldn't possibly hear us.
What?
Where someone couldn't possibly hear us. Back in the TARDIS, perhaps?
Sure.
And then with that, Roko, all these names, River moves forward.
It's so nice to see an Englishman out and about these days. It's just, it's so encouraging. You're getting out into the world.
I mean, it was a bit of an accident.
Feeling a bit over your head, I imagine.
Yes, and this whole thing, it was a bit of an accident.
You know, you remind me very, very much of another young man I knew many, many years ago who I had some very good advice when he found himself a bit over his head. You know, he's dead now, obviously.
Zeebs just says, obviously.
And who was he then?
Oh, he was a student. He was it was good advice though. Good advice. He handled it well. I gave.
And what was the advice?
I don't know. It was a long time ago. Oh.
Well, you got any for me? How I can keep up with all of this? I do. I have to admit, you know, sometimes I feel like my use here, I've kind of already surpassed it, you know. They keep saying I'm useful because I'm the only other being from another dimension who's here, but outside of that, I don't really know what I can do to help.
Let me tell you something. I do remember about the Doctor. Yes, we have to keep you safe. Your very physical presence in this universe is very important right now and is helping keep back forces of chaos that are beyond measure. But beyond that, you are in the company of creatures that are perhaps delighted by the incredible and the impossible, and are not fazed by it. Stay fazed. Stay incredulous. You are more prone to notice when something is odd than anything that's been out here. It's a unique perspective that has proven invaluable many, many times. Just because we take something for granted doesn't mean it should.
You know, that is good advice.
Yes, it took a child to mention that the Emperor had no clothes. It was always very important that that small, ignorant creature was there to point out such breakage in power. You'll do fine. Yes.
There it is.
Sure.
There it is.
Coming back from that conversation and be like, what was that?
It was very, very mixed sort of conversation there. Well, your friend here, the professor, he's
Yes,
he's offering me some ideas about my perspective here, and well, I'm not sure quite what to take away from it, but yeah.
glad you're here, Celine.
Me too. I mean, I feel very lucky at the least, you know. Yeah.
Plus, if you hadn't helped us out on that pirate ship, none of us would be here at all.
Yeah. Keep going back to that. And that little bag of explosives, my 2 moments of glory. I suppose I got us out of the first whale, didn't I? If that was a whale. Was that a whale? I can't remember. That was a swirling mass of God knows what. If there is a God.
Different kind of creature. We do get swallowed a bit, don't we?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Sorry, Roko. Probably not a pleasant memory. Are you all right?
Yes, fine.
Roko, are you all right?
Yes.
You're not much of a liar.
No.
There are a lot of wonderful things, but
Another one of my talents, I suppose. Sorry, poor timing there. I'm sorry, Roko.
It's fine. What were we talking about?
are you... Is everything okay?
No. Nothing will ever be okay. I keep walking.
Roko just kind of walks ahead of y'all, leaving it at that.
Roko, we're going to find her.
As you run to catch up to them, there's just that. You probably by now have noticed the wilted flowers along Roko's collarbone. Sorry, folks.
Roko, stop. We're going to find them.
Yes, Doctor.
I need you.
Of course.
I need you to have hope. It grows in you. I know it does. Many things we once thought were lost have been found. Your whole world.
My world is gone. My world is dead. We need to go before anyone else loses anything like that.
Don't stop looking.
Can we go?
Right.
You go.
There's a sight as you come over the crest of the hill is a magnificent, beautiful, deep blue box, right where you left it. Police written across the top. The TARDIS just waiting as you left her. Approaching the door goes opens as you all walk in, and all of you begin to step into the TARDIS.
Before I step in, I just want to drop to my knees and put my hand on the ground. I don't know if you can hear me. It might be a little dangerous. It's difficult to be the last of your kind. It's difficult to be alone please be safe. And the few flowers I have that are still alive on me, I want to pluck off and just sort of arrange them for her. Goodbye, Leviatus. And then I walk in.
So what you see as you stand up is you kind of stop as you look up from you planting these flowers down. You stop and look up and realize the landscape in front of you is completely different. And there is no TARDIS, and there's no one standing around you. And there's a moment of like, you begin to realize you don't recognize anywhere where you are. In fact, there's light coming from sources that you can't see. You begin to realize that the area around you, it almost looks like you're standing in a spotlight. The ground underneath you, it looks like a wooden deck. Not the polished wood of the professor's TARDIS, the interior of the TARDIS, but it looks like the deck of a ship. And as you're standing there, you feel a presence immediately. It's not... There's almost this expectation, like you think you're about like you think Finn. It is a comforting presence, but it's not what you think it is. It's not Finn. It's something else. And then you hear, just reverberating inside you. The only way to describe it is you hear feeling reverberating inside you. And it's communicating on a wavelength that is far beyond linguistical. And it takes you a moment to realize that you're actually in the middle of a psychic connection that you didn't establish. Something has linked to you. As y'all are all stepping into the TARDIS, everyone's kind of noticed that Roko isn't behind y'all. And Zeeps looks back and goes, Doctor? Sivian? Points as I think they're doing something. I think they're doing something right now. And points back. You see Roko is in the position of like putting that flower into the ground and looks like has just frozen. Now you've seen Roko go into psychic journeys before, and this looks very similar, but it looks like Roko literally has just frozen in a state and they're not moving at all or blinking. But it doesn't look like a state of distress, but it looks like they've just kind of zoned and is frozen in place.
Roko, are you all right? And scan.
You run over, pull out the sonic, and immediately begin to scan. Without even rolling, I'll tell you all of Roko's biological components are all working just fine, and you see a lot of brain activity. Yeah. A lot. It takes a few moments as the feeling begins to coalesce, and then you hear a voice. And it's the baritone, the deep of the voice. It's on a frequency that if you were to hear it in physical form, you would miss it completely. It almost would sound like the background noise of the universe itself. If you have ever listened to those really eerie sounds that NASA has actually recorded in space from magnetic fields of other planets, it's creepy, and it's on that plane of existence, that sort of below frequency, imperceptible magnetic sounds coming through, and it reverberates through your entire body. You can feel under the musculature of your skin, your bones almost feel like they're pulsating, vibrating from the sheer power of the frequency of this voice. There's no words that truly formulate, but what you get from it, essentially, as the feeling washes over you, is that I too am the last of my kind. You feel it, that loneliness that it feels, that you were familiar with before you rediscovered all of your, before your racial counterparts in the TG base. And there's no doubt this is Leviatus. There's no doubt in your mind. And as it washes over you, you're getting a sense of that. You're remembering what it was like, trying to just keep one step ahead of that depression. Just trying to continuously focus on everything you can and stay enthusiastic and pushing forward and finding everything you can find to be happy, like finding joy in the littlest things you can possibly find. The one thing that propelled you forward in life because you were alone until Finn. And you feel that exact same feeling from this creature, just vibrating the molecules of your being. And then you get the sensation, suddenly. And it's like sound bouncing off the inside of your skin as it fills your being. You feel Leviathan, this comforting wave come over you, telling you, she is safe. Just washing over you. And you will never be alone again. And all of you are watching as Roko has been frozen sitting here. And again, no reaction until you notice that the shades of Roko's scales turning a deeper green as tears begin to just pour down the sides of their eyes. And they're just sitting there holding this flower with no reaction. Like something is clearly, there's an event taking place in Roko. And at that point, you see your Sonic it goes almost off the scale of psychic activity as it detects. Just
It's in the umbrella. What was that?
and then you're staring at the petals in your hand, which you look at them for a second, and they have completely bloomed in your palm as you were putting them down.
Hope. You must always have hope.
You all right?
What's happened? Are you...
Thank you.
Thank who?
I'd like to walk into the TARDIS now.
It looks like, if you're talking to Roko, it looks like Roko's in the middle of a euphoric moment and probably isn't even aware that you're speaking to them. But you see the energy that Roko is known for. It just begins to beam off of them again as they just kind of walk into the... It's like someone flipped a switch on them. Like it's the old Roko for a split second and just walks into the TARDIS.
Right.
As long as they're okay.
Time is ticking.
Yes, we have things to get, places to be, people to find, and tales to seal.
Yes, you're back.
Shall we?
Yes. Is everything all right? Just...
Oh, yes, everything's fine. Everything will be fine.
I'm delighted to hear it. Let's get moving, and perhaps you'd consider filling us in. Shall we?
Yes.
Let's.
You approach the TARDIS controls. It's been a while since you've seen a marked TARDIS like this one, a bit more advanced. It's a little, you kind of dig in. It's basically, the way I've described it to them, and as you well know, because I don't know if y'all know this or not, but Taliesin actually watches our show. Talisin's a viewer.
Popping.
So it's basically, the way I've described it is very akin to Capaldi's
Yes.
interior.
It's
So
one
it's
of my
got
favorites.
that. Yes, mine too. I love how archaic and modern and Gallifreyan everywhere. It's great. I love it. As you walk over, you see flip the switch, the data pads as you enter the coordinates to the next rip in space time, and the TARDIS goes. You hear that all wind up as you begin to hear the engines rumble as the TARDIS comes to life. You enter the coordinates, you see the column begin to stir, and you flip that switch, and you hear a grinding sound immediately as the TARDIS goes, and the whole thing begins to shake. Professor, you immediately recognize the effects of the labyrinth circuit, which should be off, is in fact having an effect and in refusing to allow the TARDIS to leave. As the thing begins to grind, the TARDIS rattles suddenly, and you see a spark fly out of the console, another spark fly out of the console.
Oh no.
I'm going to try and help shift some of the effects to see if we can go through. I can maybe venture us through the system. It should be down. I don't know why it isn't.
Yes, if you could help me figure out exactly what's
Yes,
going on
yes.
here.
I just have some Zeus plugs and some something. Oh yes, ready. Yes.
All right, so, Professor, if you want to make a ingenuity plus technology roll, do you have any traits that you? Oh wait.
Yes.
I believe you do have traits.
Oh yes.
Hella traits. This is.
Ingenuity plus technology.
Yes, and your born trait at the very bottom too will also come into play. So if you do poorly, you can do that. Although I'm not anticipating you doing poorly, but go ahead and make the roll and add it all up and tell me what you get.
20.
20.
Engineering technology 2d6.
Yes.
Excellent.
You're doing the calculations, and sure enough, the core of your labyrinth
is
circuit.
this a broken device also, or faulty device?
What's that?
Would technology adapt also work?
Yes.
22.
22.
Yeah.
Um,
Sorry,
oh,
just had it.
no, I'm sorry. No, this will not come into effect.
It's
Yeah.
times right.
yeah,
20,
yeah.
20. Sorry.
Yeah,
carry
yeah,
on.
yeah. That works.
What else to fix or use complex technology?
Your labyrinth circuit is at full power. You're seeing the effects of this. You shut that thing off. I mean, we all watched you do it. And as you're looking at the computer console, you're seeing the interference from the labyrinth circuit. It's looping the TARDIS's destination. So it's literally like the TARDIS in milliseconds beyond perception is disappearing and reappearing at the same moment, causing this effect. If she does not shut the TARDIS down now, you guys will be thrown into a paradox.
I don't know what to do. It should be off.
Professor Kanotis, is this your circuit at work?
It is. It should be off, though.
What if we just push harder? Will we?
You're beginning to see, as she's saying that, should we push harder? You hear echoes of her voice, and suddenly you're watching multiple doctors, like it's a blurring effect. And it's almost, everyone is suddenly having that effect, as the TARDISes are constantly just...
Shut it down.
Good.
Shut it down.
You're starting to see the effect, too. You're beginning to realize that you, from now, it's all like happening all at once and yet separate and all at once.
Right.
You reach over and grab the console, like you see this wave of like hands. It's almost like a bad camera effect. It's like this wave of hands of the doctor coming down. You can feel
almost like
as
a
you
bad
touch
camera
as you
effect.
touch the
What?
console of the TARDIS. As you touch the console of the TARDIS, you feel a wave of dizziness as you feel yourself with one touch, touching it multiple times, all at once from different moments in time, of milliseconds apart. And as it shuts down, everyone feels a wave of nausea just crash down on them. The TARDIS just, and it powers down immediately, sparks fly as the time continuum just realigns suddenly. Basically what just happened is very, very similar to what you saw when the TGs messed up when they were using their temporal manipulators, their vortex manipulators. Almost just happened to everything in the TARDIS. As it realigns and the labyrinth circuit goes, the resistance level just drops suddenly as your TARDIS stops resisting this TARDIS.
Right. I'm so sorry. Is everyone all right?
It's no fun skipping straight to the hangover.
I'm never doing that again.
Oh, yes, you will.
Professor, was that your labyrinth circuit? And is there a way to actually stop it? A bit.
It should have stopped. Maybe there was, maybe us shutting it down fell into a paradox. Maybe,
Do you still remember turning it off?
Yes.
Yes, you worked the puzzle out. You used every single angle. It went down the hole. It should be off.
It should be. Yes, I do. I did. Did
Does
you
anyone
see me?
else?
Yes.
Does anyone else have access to it? You built it, didn't you?
I did build it, and only, yeah, I mean, he doesn't know how it works.
Who know? What?
Just the man come up to work on it every now and then.
What man?
Oh, I don't know. One of whoever's alive right now.
Sorry, what?
I have a man in the city. He comes up and does things, I think. Yes. Terrible with faces. Yes.
Yes, you've mentioned. Perhaps we should go see. Is there any way to shut it down from here? Because we can't try that again. That didn't.
Well, are we
we may not even be there anymore. Are we through? Are we out?
Did it?
You don't know, but I will say this, that the computer console, the TARDIS being able to monitor exactly where you are is not, like, it's static on the screen right now. The Gallifreyan script, the image from the outside of the TARDIS is completely...
Right,
it's-
I'm just gonna see that
It's
the
not a
TARDIS for
wall.
minute.
It's a. Let's.
Okay.
Where are we?
I'll go peek out the door.
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
gonna
you
go
walk
peek
over
out
to the door
wall.
and you open it up, and you see the place where you just left. You see the whale, you see the ground, you see the flower that Roko left just now. Fully blossomed, you see everything just the way it was moments ago.
We didn't go anywhere.
Right.
How on earth did you get in here?
It was a bit difficult.
Very bouncy.
Can we shunt the TARDIS back to my TARDIS back? Let's just see what happened.
You could conceivably fly the TARDIS to your location.
I think we'd better not.
It's a
attempt
manual
the
flight.
vortex,
You're
but-
not jumping through time,
Yeah.
but you could try to pilot
That's
this.
actually how we got in here.
Yes. We flew through the whale. We didn't just. Right.
Yeah.
Let's go check things out, shall we? Is there a physical mechanism that's doing it up at your place?
It's off. I'm baffled.
I don't think it's off. I think it might still be on, Professor.
Well, I assure you, it is off. Except, of course, that it isn't.
Right.
Let's go take a look.
Yes, let's shall.
Okay. All right. So
you
in that
all right?
case, I'm going to need you to.
Silly, it's okay.
Bullet time.
Yeah, that was the weirdest trip.
Am I? We're still.
Everything's all right. Look, one hand each side.
It's at that point that you guys have probably realized just a few feet away from Cillian is Zeeps, who has evacuated his stomach upon the floor.
Oh,
It's disgusting.
And is leaning over the railing going, okay,
We're humans.
okay.
understandable.
I know, but
This isn't my first time.
I
with
was
one
just
of
12
those,
people and
having a
all
bit
of them
a-
were sick.
I'm
Okay.
going to go over to him and rub his back
Thank
and tell him it's going to be
you.
okay and find him a drink of
Wow.
water.
Yes,
And generally baby him a little bit.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'm still me, right?
Yep.
Yes.
You're feeling okay, but you kind of had the same experience as Zeeps, being with the human physiology. Zeeps, again, very accurately just said, I was 12 people and they were all sick to their stomach. That's kind of the same sensation. Again, dangers of time travel and being a human. For you, it's like, yeah, wow, that was unique. And the world has slowly come back. To say you had quadruple vision is not really doing it justice, but you are kind of coming back too, and the nausea is wearing off.
All right.
Yeah.
Are we flying over there then?
Hey, you guys gonna pilot it?
Do I need to?
All right, so then let's make a piloting check. That's gonna be an intelligence. This is not D&D. Ingenuity plus, I think we decided technology.
But my tech
I'll
deck-
assist as well.
Right.
If you don't
Yeah,
mind.
go ahead and make your roll.
What about that one?
Did you read up on the assist rolls?
I did. I'm a little.
We haven't had an assist on the TARDIS in quite some time, so I'm going to look that up real quick.
Are we using the tech adept on the TARDIS? Do I get the bonus?
Remind me what Tech Adept does?
It gives you a bonus to fix or use complex technology. It's just sort of plus.
I mean, if the TARDIS isn't complex technology, I don't know what is.
There's the separate vortex trait, which
The Turn of the Universe?
I would love
That's
to see
a
the doctor
third one.
just
But-
go try to fix Windows 10 or Windows 9. That's what it was.
3 generations later.
Yeah.
I can find the specific word.
I'm working on it.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah. So what was your roll?
18.
Okay.
All right, I have the assist roll.
Thank you.
Oh, what is it? Tell me. Thank you.
One person with a required skill will take the lead. Helpers,
that's right.
if they have a skill that will help, +2 to the attempt.
Okay, cool.
I
And you
should
do
add
have a
2.
skill. So okay, so then who wants to take the lead?
It's the doctor.
Okay, so then we'll just give the doctor a +2
Yes,
based
it's a
off of you.
+2.
Okay.
Because I'm
Can
helping the-
multiple people assist? Because
Game
Here in
Master
the
can put a
TARDIS,
limit on
I would
it,
say there's a
but-
big enough control console, and there's 3 Time Lords in the
Yeah.
TARDIS right now. So yes, I would say you are all ready to assist.
They're built for 6 or 8. I'm trying to remember.
I'm trying to remember
Yeah.
as well. I believe. Let's see.
6 or
I
technically-
actually, you're gonna love this, Taliesin. I actually have a character sheet for the TARDIS.
Yes, I've seen.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
I still don't know how to use it.
It's
but
because you're supposed to have one person at each panel working all
Yeah.
together.
technically
It's
that's true.
just a
Oh,
crazy
you know
thing.
what though? River can also assist.
That's true.
I'm just gonna glare at her the whole time. But she,
Okay.
On a continuity note, can we pretend that I said good to see you again when I saw you? Because during the break,
Sure.
there was- yeah.
Yes.
It was a long time ago.
So I sprung. So again.
But when you said your name, not when I saw your face. 'cause
Yeah.
you said
Yeah.
your face.
So again, I urge fans of the show to keep in mind that with the exceptional volume of lore of Doctor Who, when I spring shit like this on our cast,
And Cronotis certainly doesn't remember what she said. one
right.
way or the other.
So just take it all with a grain of salt.
Wibbly wobbly.
Or if you'd like to hashtag your fun is wrong and throw it at us, that's cool too.
Your timeline is wrong.
Your timeline is wrong.
Yeah, the tech adept just says.
Is
you
it
can-
broken or it's complex
It's
devices?
both. It's,
Okay.
You can +2 to any technology roll to fix a broken or faulty device and to use complex gadgets or equipment.
Yes.
That would definitely fall. The TARDIS would definitely fall.
So you get like
under
a
purview.
+6 for all of us running
Yes.
around like crazy people.
This is your baby. You know what you're doing. So
do you
yeah,
have
go ahead and
TARDIS
get your
for
+6
TARDIS
and make your roll.
So I did the roll. My base 13, 14, 15 plus the 9 is 24 plus the +2. I just said it out loud and then
28.
forgot what it was.
would be
A
28,
buttload.
right?
Yes,
A
28.
buttload.
Thank you.
I roll a buttload.
A metric fuck.
So
Yeah.
the TARDIS kind of rumbles for a second, and then you, like a pro, because you know this has been your home for quite a while. You fly to the location. Does not take long. Just
Up direct peak.
you begin to encounter a little bit of interference, and then as you're approaching,
Professor, are there any other defenses we should know about?
remember those clever defenses you had against time
Did you
travel?
turn them back? Oh, God.
So
It's not
as you
time
guys are
travel, it's
approaching the cave, the TARDIS begins to like rattle violently.
I'm going
Everyone
to try
hang
and
on
use
to
my
something.
sonic to shut it all off.
You're gonna pull out your sonic.
I'm using the umbrella and I'm hitting
Okay. You activate the sonic in the umbrella, and you begin to try to.
Makes me think of
This is going to
Hagrid
be. I'm going to have you roll for this,
All right.
Professor. So it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be your ingenuity plus technology,
Ingenuity plus technology.
and
All right.
curiously enough, the sonic is actually not a complex device.
No.
It's just Sonic.
So just straight 12.
Yep,
Haven't I been using that bonus when I
which is actually.
Oh.
Thank
Can I use a point?
Things.
Okay.
I think it's the thing.
So when you make a roll, you're allowed to spend 1 story point to go 1 level higher. So if you hit failure, I didn't give you a target number either. So what'd you
did.
roll?
15.
Oh no, you're fine.
All right.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Just trying to shut off the defenses.
Your sonic immediately registers as the TARDIS begins to shake, and as Professor lifts up his umbrella and begins to like do calculations on his sonic, and you hear the of his sonic like buzzing up inside the umbrella, you hear the alarm going off in your TARDIS. You've heard this alarm a few times in your existence. It's always impending destruction.
Oh no.
And
Cloister.
the moment the alarm goes off, it shuts off because the defense mechanism you managed to deactivate.
What did you build?
Things?
Right.
They're very important. They've been working very well
Clearly.
until you showed up.
Well, are we all right now? Is there like a second wave?
No, this is just in one switch should have been it.
Yeah, we thought that last time.
It's just the statuette has to be turned a quarter to the right by the door and everything turns on. I don't know how that could have happened. What happened? I want to find out what happened.
Okay.
Right. Let's
On foot then.
yeah,
foot
let's
it
just
is.
land, shall we?
You open the door, and you're impressed to find that the TARDIS actually got kind of close. Considering it's a TARDIS and it's Time Lord technology, it's not like the TGs have been using TARDISes to come jumping around, but not too bad. Probably good piloting from the Doctor. You have landed about
Thank you.
80 feet away from your front door.
I've missed this.
It's an easy walk to get up there. It doesn't look like anyone's been here since you've left, at least not that you can tell. If you want to make a roll, I'll allow it. But
Is the man I sent up? Do I see any signs of there's a letter?
Go ahead and make your, I would say, make an awareness resolve check.
Awareness.
So it's 2 attributes.
Yes.
So
yes.
roll 2d6 and add your awareness resolve.
23.
23. No, there doesn't seem to have been any sign of anyone who's been here.
Colin? Edgar? Philip?
Are you just
Samantha?
guessing names? Or are these...
They're ones I've used that have worked in the past. I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
Coming?
Professor, can you show us the machine?
Which machine?
The one that you were supposed to have turned off that would let us leave.
Oh, yes, yes. Boss.
You walk back upstairs, throw open the door. Your TARDIS is just the way you left it. Walking inside.
Check the labyrinth circuit.
Walking over to the labyrinth circuit, you pick up the representation of the labyrinth circuit, and the ball is back on top, and it just kind of stands there, ready to be used.
It's in the off position, so it's on.
It's on.
I sit down. You're welcome to take a look at it.
I think I will. So it's on... but you still remember turning it off? Is that... We all saw
I do.
it.
We all saw it. I'm going to take out my pocket
I
watch
have to
and
check
try and
that
tap
things
it to the
haven't
labyrinth
changed.
circuit.
Quite so, yes.
It's functioning just as it always has when it's in the proximity of the labyrinth circuit being on. It's almost like you never shut it off. But there's nothing unusual. There's nothing paradoxical about it.
I checked the chalkboards to see if any of the notes I made are still there.
You
The new
slide it
notes.
over. You're very relieved to find that the continuity is exactly the way you left it on the board. Somehow the labyrinth circuit just turned it back on.
Can it turn itself on? I know that's a weird question, but...
No, it's not conscious like a TARDIS. It's just a... It's,
So you are quite an impressive builder.
thank you. No, this is... It shouldn't be able to do any of this. I
Your
don't know.
TARDIS had turned it on.
Maybe.
I checked the console. It's just the bookshelf. I'm just moving the
All
books
right,
around,
cool.
opening them.
You pull it out. You've seen this kind of Time Lord technology before, Doctor. It is a representation of a console units. It's quite charming and ingenious, and probably only accessible by the owner of the TARDIS, because none of this makes too much sense. Duncan, as Cillian is just watching all this zaniness happen, you notice that there's actually quite an interesting collection of old magazines stacked up on the coffee table as you kind of look down, and you're seeing like old Rolling Stone issues, interviews with Mick Jagger. Like you're like, it's such a curious thing, just like kind of stacked up off on the side.
For him to have down here, by
Yeah.
the way.
It literally looks like someone's cut a slice out of an office that should absolutely be at Cambridge University and just plopped it here in the middle of the mountain. This place, I mean, there's a moment where you're looking at that title and all of a sudden you feel this wave of homesickness just wash over you. It's the proximity that you could almost believe that you were back in London.
But this is more 1970 London than 1790 London.
It kind of stretches the time. Like there's a few Rolling Stone covers you haven't seen before that have
And-
weird dates on it.
Yeah, and I mean he's been around for a while, so
Yes.
that makes sense.
Students leave things in all the time.
All right, Tal, so I'm going to need you to make the professor is going to have to roll, it's going to be another technology check. So it's going to be ingenuity
Same thing.
plus technology, yeah. But this time you can totally use your tech adept because there's
All right.
clearly something up.
That's better. That's 22.
Okay, 22.
Yes.
And if it helps, once he's done with that, I plan to take your advice and look at the machine.
Yes, please.
You're just kind of pulling out the books. And
Occasionally, I'll show pages to the doctor as well that
Oh,
have
right.
Galfreyan, like the readouts just show up in the text.
It's essentially the same information you would have gotten off the computer console screen in your TARDIS, and you're all seeing it too. And your TARDIS, it appears on like the digital screen. You know, the screen you kind of pull around to the side. The texts in these books seem to be ever fluctuating, like it's giving you a readout. So when you turn the page, it's exactly what's happening right now.
Emergency
and you're
the books just pop off. It's quite nice.
I'm frankly a bit jealous. Lovely place you've got.
so, Doctor, go ahead and make the same roll.
13, 14, 15, plus 9, 24.
24. Okay, with both of your combined talents, as you're flipping through these books, someone was in here. You stop it for a second, but you see in the Gallifreyan script, it actually looks like his TARDIS detected somebody who's not the professor and not you guys at one point entered the TARDIS. Maybe the person he was describing before, the man that he has come around. But it looks like they were here, undetected, and left rather abruptly.
That shouldn't be possible.
Professor?
It's a TARDIS. How do you go in and out of a TARDIS without?
Are there any other Time Lords here?
What about that?
No.
That's psychic. Time Lords are psychic, aren't you?
Yes.
The one from the assembly?
It's the only person I could think of who might even have the capability that we've heard of thus far.
Is there any sign in here as to who it was?
The name is slipping your mind, but the occasional person that you have used since you have been here,
Yes.
who comes around, because the thing is with all of the technologies and races that pass through this whale, sometimes there's actually a piece of something that you could use.
Oh, absolutely.
Something quite unique. In fact, the Daleks were very useful once they were destroyed in your front doorstep. You were able to use some of that tech to do what you needed to do to keep things running smoothly, and to make sure that, just like you basically are you've been taking technologies from all over the place to continue to keep this place safe. And to make sure that the power systems are running normally, and et cetera, et cetera. There's been one person that you have used on occasion
Yes.
in the city who has brought you tech, and in return, you give them tech back. It's been kind of like a cultural exchange thing.
Sure.
As you're flipping through the book, you realize that at one point during the afternoon or evening or some such, they gained access to your TARDIS without your permission, took something, and left, according to this log, which, by the way, is buried deep under lines and codes of data. There are only certain levels of technology that would allow someone to stealthily enter a TARDIS and leave again. Time Lord technology, ancient Time Lord technology, and possibly Dalek technology. But no other tech in the universe should be able to gain entry into a TARDIS like this, with the exception of probably River, but then she's been given permission and knows the ins and outs of the defense circuits of the TARDIS.
I'm going to check to make sure all of the expensive things are where they should be,
Okay.
including the book.
Okay. You move back over to the bookshelf,
Yes.
checking out some of the things that you've kept stowed away, made sure that it kept safe. Everything else seems to be right where you left it.
Whoa.
Does it?
If I've seen the same information, I'd be
Just
like,
gonna make a dumb joke.
have I?
What's
Or
that?
is just he seeing that?
You're
part about
seeing the
someone stealing?
anomaly that someone entered the TARDIS without permission and was here for a moment and then left abruptly.
But that's all I have.
That's all you have.
All right.
Your items seem to be all in place. The only thing that looks like it's not behaving properly is the labyrinth circuit.
Just because I'm blank. What is the name of the one person that I've given?
His name.
If I can remember it.
Yes.
Edgar,
oh.
Philip.
Okay. Okay. Come on. This is the problem with keeping.
Oh.
Okay.
There is one person it could be.
Professor, who was here?
Someone who went to a great deal of trouble to be undetected.
How is that possible?
How would they know you were leaving?
His name is Pinnack.
Pennack.
And Pinnack is the first in command. As you've known this, Pinnack is sort of like the face first in command, sort of shady first lieutenant of the crime lord that lives in Cosm. And it begins to click that petty theft must have just taken place. Something that should not be possible, and certainly something that you're surprised to find you could have allowed to happen. But sure enough, the evidence starts to stack up.
Whoa, turns out in this reality, in this universe, Keith Richards was vegan.
A lot of fun to drink with, too.
Huh?
Magazines from your time. What?
He
A
was,
lot of fun to
Yeah.
drink with.
of course, he was vegan. It was a huge craze. Everyone, well, yes, he wasn't vegan.
Well, you should have
Can't even imagine, yeah.
seen him in my reality, mate.
He's quite the performer. I saw him perform. In 19.
Oh, Professor, if we could
Yes.
just focus a little bit.
What's going on?
I don't know. I don't even know what a vegan is.
Oh my God! It just occurred to me that your half-plant companion. What's a vegan? Well, Rocco.
Complicated story.
Oh, that's lovely.
I think they.
No,
Well,
I may have given access to some disreputable people to this apartment. Things need to be done. There's a city to maintain.
there's not more reputable people you could have worked with.
Well,
no,
reputable
no.
people
Okay,
aren't
but
going to
who?
come up
Who?
here.
Who was here?
Pennack. He's a
Pennack.
He's a bit of a hired muscle. He works for some of the more disreputable groups of people down in the city.
Do you want another name? I can give you the name of the crime lord because you would know his name. His name is Tezakiel.
Tezakiel.
Tezakiel has developed a bit of a reputation, almost on par with yours, in that not a lot of people have seen Tezakiel. Everyone knows of Tezakiel, and everyone just kind of stays out of Tezakiel's way.
You know, Pennack works for. They said there was a crime boss down in the city.
It's a
Would
city,
they
of course.
tolerate-
There's a crime boss.
Do you know what species?
I don't keep track.
Probably human, right?
Wouldn't be
Zeebs
surprised.
kind of nods to you and goes, "Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not trying to make us
Other-
look bad,
other
but I mean, I think
species
we
do
all know."
crime too.
Yeah, but
Everybody
from
has to
what
have
we've
something they're
seen
very
so
good
far,
What?
Every planet has something they specialize in, and it's good to have a talent.
There's more humans than that.
this
Don't
guy,
have him talking like
Publicity
that.
is
he's got a
very
real
useful.
talent for backhanded compliments.
I'm a professor.
Crime do the locals partake in? Besides stealing things from your TARDIS.
They've stolen something from you.
I'm looking. I mean, nothing of
Or
value.
breaking into TARDIS, I should say.
Again, the labyrinth circuit may have been messed with because it's the only thing that's.
Is it? But it's functioning right now.
It's functioning, but it's misbehaving.
Can I take a closer look? I don't know how it's
course.
supposed to work, so I'm not sure what I'm going to get out
Okay.
of it. But
Yeah, go ahead and
Figure
scan
it
it.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead and run
take a
this.
closer look at your.
Of course,
Go
of
ahead and run the
course.
scan.
18.
That's enough, especially with you're familiar with Time Lord technology. You just kind of run your sonic over it. Bzzz. This, first of all, this labyrinth circuit is ingenious. As you're looking at it,
Professor, this
this
is beautiful.
this little device that the professor has built looks like it has harnessed power that's adjacent to paradox manipulation, but it doesn't. Let me put it this way: it's using it naturally, and instead of trying to control paradox, it's actually using the natural laws of paradox in the timeline to simply create, for lack of a better way of describing it, in a way that's kind of beyond human understanding, labyrinth through the time vortex. So it confuses time travel circuits. So location and distance, it constantly was resetting as it's trying to lock on to a destination that you're trying to go to. This is probably what caused the TARDIS to continuously come back, and just kind of go into like a crazy paradox unto its own. There is a continuity circuit inside this labyrinth circuit. And that's the piece of technology that allows the circuit to essentially be turned off. And the safety is what's been keeping you all from being destroyed for trying to do time travel. So instead of being obliterated outright, you guys are being sent back to the exact same moment. That continuity circuit is missing.
Professor,
It looks
there's
like
something
somebody
missing.
surgely removed it from the labyrinth circuit and
I'm going to have
replaced
to
it.
go have a talk with those boys.
Can't just turn it off the way it is?
Not safely. I could destroy it, but
That leaves the city unprotected.
that leaves the city unprotected. Which it may be worth it in the end, but that is not my call to make. Do we approach these ruffians, or do we
Sounds like it could
head
be
out
fun.
full speed forward and save the universe?
The Corsair is corsairing.
I would much rather we handle a couple of ruffians than shut this whole thing down and potentially put Leviathus in danger as the Temporal Guard comes down on the city.
Yes, you've kept it safe this long. I think we'd better see if we can't keep it up. You should maybe choose your companions a little more wisely.
Well, that's...
Clearly he has.
Not exactly spoilt for choice down here.
You are the one who
thank
was
you.
hanging out with the Centauran, you know. So. And
Well,
Davros.
he's a librarian. Don't mention.
And who you
let's
thought
not.
I was, so.
No, I will admit I have a bit of a history of poor choices in companionship. So,
That's why I stick to cats generally.
beastly creatures, yes. Love them. Yes.
Where
had
can
a
we
cat.
find Pennick?
Cosm. Yeah.
gonna have to-
Pennick's hideout, as you well know, is the Doctor Who equivalent of a shady casino-style entertainment junction point in the middle of Cosm. I keep looking through papers, but I forgot that I've actually got these notes on my phone today.
My car's broken. Can we take yours?
It's called the Dead Gull.
We're heading
What's
to
with
the
the
Dead
cards?
Gulls,
A bunch of
sadly. It's
thieves.
Actually,
it's a place of ill repute, but it's
Do they serve drinks?
it's not flying so
I
smooth.
believe they do, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
park it
Let's
and
go.
Go on foot.
Can I nick a couple of these magazines?
Oh,
I'm
help
so
yourself,
curious.
of course. As many as you like.
Oh, wicked! Thank you.
You just roll those up. They're in excellent condition. It looks like they came off the print yesterday.
They may
They
have
are.
come off the print yesterday.
Yeah.
There's a
I'm
part of
thinking
you
perhaps-
that's there's a part of you, Cillian, that's like, these are actually kind of worth money. Like this. I mean, it's not a lot of money, but I mean the
Except I
condition.
can't sell them in my reality because they don't exist in my reality.
That's true. Yeah. Too bad there's not like a collectible store you could just dump them on and just like, get rid of them.
Too bad I don't know about a place like that.
I'm going to reset the locks back to just only access to the TARDIS to me at this point.
Okay,
Taking privileges away from everybody.
Okay, you just wave that umbrella, and it revokes all privileges of people
They've
not with
lost
you in the
their
TARDIS.
LA privileges.
You hear, you all, as the professor waves that umbrella, you all hear the of the sonic inside the umbrella, and the TARDIS. You're vaguely aware of like a humming sound. It's almost sounds threatening for a second. You're very familiar with defense mechanisms inside of TARDISes. Time Lords of all stripes, you guys are very aware that a TARDIS, if it wants to be, can be quite the villain if it's trying to protect itself. There are things a TARDIS can do to a person that are way worse than just being killed repeatedly.
Why did you have to bring that up
I'm sorry. I just like to
too soon?
bam. And you feel that the TARDIS suddenly, you feel those activation circuits come on. Dr. Corsair, you both are very aware that as I keep thinking of Dumbledore when he was just like, we advise you not to go near the Dark Forest unless you wish to die a most painful death. Yeah, when those circuits come on, I was talking about the East Corridor, wasn't he? Or the West Corridor?
Access granted to all who are currently within the TARDIS, but no one else.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. So you update the permissions. The TARDIS is activated. Yeah.
I think perhaps we'd better walk. Flying the TARDIS around here until we get your mechanism under control might not be the best idea.
Might
Fair
want to
enough.
lock yours down then too.
Oh yes.
Okay, so you guys decide to exit. Are you real quick? Are you planning to fly to Cosm?
We're gonna walk.
You're gonna walk. Might as well.
Mine.
Okay. 2-mile walk. Don't have time to talk. That being said, as we wrap up the game today, because we've got 5 minutes left, I want all of you, including Time Lords, who shouldn't be passing 6 story points. I want everyone to gain 2 story points for some amazing role playing today. Well done, everybody. That was a great game.
Have I regained either of my 2 missing resolve points or 1 coordination yet?
I think it's
Russ?
fair to say that you would have gained. I'll let you.
It's a
I'll
few
get.
hours
You, I'll
sometime,
tell you what, because we forgot to factor that in. I'll let you gain 2 points back. I'll let you decide where they come back to. Because you're missing 3 total, right?
Yeah.
So get 2 points back. Because that was mostly just being knocked around, if I remember correctly. getting battered from concussive blasts.
Yeah.
So you're kind of feeling it again. And yeah, we will pick this up next Friday.
Are we at WonderCon next? Isn't-
We will be at WonderCon. What's
Yeah.
that?
yeah.
Yes.
Wait, on Friday we
Wait,
will?
who's going to
not have a
WonderCon?
game
Are we
yet?
gonna?
I
Okay,
know, yeah.
so are we? Oh my
What?
goodness,
Wait.
we're gonna have a conversation with Seth.
Friday are you at WonderCon?
I'm
or-
not wondering. I have a panel on Friday.
Oh.
yeah.
On Friday,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be there too, yeah?
Oh, most assuredly.
Well, we might not be back next Friday. We might have to come back the Friday
I
after.
forgot to even think about the fact that Friday
I
is.
think we
We did
talked
not
about it
plan
already
that.
that we weren't going to.
Yeah. we-
Why am I still? I'm going to be American now.
The cell phone is in the Honda.
Duncan
Hey,
does that
yo,
all
boy.
the time. Duncan, I'm like, Duncan, no, you're still doing the
Go
British.
back to your
Yeah,
normal
stop,
voice.
out
Yeah.
of character.
No, I'm stuck. I'm just
He's
stuck there
stuck.
forever.
You're too
Stuck.
committed.
Merciful.
Don't worry, gang. We will keep everyone updated as soon as we figure this out. We've clearly run into a logistical
paradox.
error.
I've cleared many Fridays, so
Yes,
I will run
I'm-
this to the bitter end.
I'm
I'll
happy to
be
say that
here.
Taliesin will be joining us for some time.
So tired every morning.
Yes. I every time you guys go late on Crit Roll, I'm going to be sitting there watching, going, "Oh, Talison's going to feel that on Doctor Who tomorrow."
We'll just be even more in character.
Yes,
Right,
yes,
exactly.
yes.
Something will happen in your time slot, Eric.
Something will happen in our time slot. We have some pretty talented. I mean, we've got an amazing GM.
Oh.
I don't know if y'all know, but Sax Carr, the man knows how to
old
run a
school.
game. So stay tuned. And we'll keep you guys updated on Twitter, of course, is what's going on with TBD RPG. Either way, we will see you guys again soon. Thank you so much for tuning in to TBD RPG, and Taliesin, thank you for joining us, and welcome to the cast for a bit.
It was such a pleasure.
I can't wait till it's going to be quite the
know.
conundrum when we have both you and Darren and Matt who are going to be coming
We're
back
going
to
to
the
be
show.
very comfy all
Yes,
together
you guys are
here.
going to be like crammed into your little thing. So stay tuned for Brick Battles, which is coming up next. And thank you so much for tuning in today, and stay whimsical.